You are holding a magic wand, but you are using it to hit yourself. Florence Scovel Shinn taught us that man's word is his wand, yet most of us are waving that wand in the wrong direction. You are literally talking your blessings away before they even have a chance to reach your doorstep. Think about your last 24 hours. You prayed for prosperity in the morning, but by lunch, you told a friend, "I can't afford that." You visualized health, but by dinner, you were complaining about your fatigue. You are sending wireless messages to the infinite, but the signals are crossed. Here is the spiritual truth that changes everything. The subconscious mind has absolutely no sense of humor. It does not know you are just venting. It does not know you are just being realistic. It takes every word you utter as a command. When you speak of lack, limitation, or fear, you are essentially calling up the universal storehouse and saying, "Cancel my order." If you want to change your conditions, you must first change your conversation. Today, we are going to silence the doubt and learn how to speak the language of kings. We are going to look at exactly how to govern your tongue, to govern your life, and the specific decrees that turn the game of life into a game you cannot lose. Friends, students of truth, and seekers of the divine design, we are gathered here to discuss the most potent instrument ever given to humanity. It is not a machine made of gears and steel. It is not a weapon forged in fire. It is an instrument you carry with you every moment of every day, from the time you wake until the time you sleep. It is the instrument of your tongue. It has been said, "In the beginning was the Word." This is not merely a poetic introduction to Scripture. It is the scientific formula for creation. Everything you see in the physical world, this room, the clothes you wear, the conditions of your bank account, the state of your health, was once a thought crystallized into a word and then manifested into form. Florence Scovel Shinn taught us that the game of life is a game of boomerangs. What you send out in word, you receive back in experience. Yet, look around you. Look at the turmoil, the lack, the confusion that plagues the average life. Why is this? It is because man is asleep. He walks through his days waving a magic wand, but he waves it indiscriminately. He builds a wall with one hand and tears it down with the other. Today, we are going to wake up. We are going to dissect the spiritual mechanics of your speech. We are going to look at why your demonstrations are delayed, and we are going to uncover the specific habits, the innocent little phrases that are literally talking your blessings away. To understand why your words carry such weight, you must first understand the audience to whom you are speaking. You are not just speaking to your friends, your spouse, or your coworkers. Primarily, you are speaking to yourself. More specifically, you are speaking to the subconscious mind. We must remember the three departments of the mind: the conscious, the subconscious, and the superconscious. The conscious mind is your reasoning mind. It sees life as it appears to be. It sees the bills on the table. It sees the illness in the body. It sees the empty chair. It impresses the subconscious. The superconscious mind is the God mind within each man. It is the realm of perfect ideas. It is the realm of the divine design. In the superconscious, there is a picture of you that is perfect. There is a version of your life where you are healthy, wealthy, loving, and self-expressed. This is the pattern in the mount. But standing between your current reality and that divine design is the subconscious mind. And here is the secret that so few grasp. The subconscious mind is a power without direction. It is like steam or electricity. It will run a factory or it will burn the house down. It has no discrimination. It has no sense of humor. It does not know the difference between a real threat and an imagined one. Imagine the subconscious mind like the engine room of a great steamship. You, the conscious mind, are the captain on the bridge. You cannot see the engine, you only send down orders. If you yell down the tube, full speed ahead into the iceberg, the engine room does not argue. It does not say, "Captain, that is foolish." It simply obeys the command, and the ship crashes. When you speak, You are impressing the subconscious. You are handing it a blueprint. If you say, "I never have enough money," the subconscious, like that faithful servant in the engine room, clicks its heels and says, "Very well." The command is, "Not enough. I shall arrange circumstances to ensure there is never enough." It does not argue. It does not say, "But surely you want abundance." It simply obeys the word. Most people are trying to change their lives by wrestling with conditions on the outside. They work harder, they struggle, they manipulate, but they never change the record playing in the subconscious. They are trying to project a movie of success while the film reel in the projector is running a tragedy. We are here to change the film reel. And the only way to splice that film, the only way to edit the script of your life, is through the spoken word. There is an occult law known as the law of correspondence. As within, so without. This means that your outer world is nothing more than a materialized outpicturing of your inner conversation. If you could record every word you spoke for the last 30 days, not just the words spoken to others, but the muttered words under your breath, the internal dialogue while you drove your car, the complaints you whispered while watching the news, you would have a perfect explanation for your current life conditions. You cannot speak of poverty and have wealth. It is a spiritual impossibility. You cannot speak of disease and have health. You cannot speak of loneliness and attract love. To do so would be to violate the law. You might as well try to plant thistles and expect to harvest roses. Many of you are praying for a change. You sit in the silence, you affirm the truth, you visualize the good, but then you walk out that door and you neutralize your prayer. You pray for a new job, but then you tell your neighbor, "The economy is terrible. No one is hiring." You pray for healing, but then you tell your family, "I feel worse every day. I think this runs in my genes." This is what it means to take the name of the Lord in vain. The Lord is the law, the word. To use it in vain is to use it against yourself. You are cutting the wires of your own supply. You are answering your own prayers with a no. Let us get practical. There are specific phrases that act as poison to your prosperity. These are phrases that have become so common in our language that we use them without thinking. But remember, the subconscious is always listening. It does not know slang, it takes you literally. If you wish to stop talking your blessings away, you must ruthlessly eliminate certain concepts from your vocabulary. The first and most destructive phrase in the human language regarding finance is, "I can't afford it." Or, perhaps it's cousins, "That is too expensive, and we are broke." When you say, "I can't afford it," you are making a decree of limitation. You are impressing upon the subconscious the image of an empty purse. You are identifying yourself with lack. Now, I am not suggesting you run out and spend money you do not physically possess in a reckless manner. That is not faith. That is foolishness. But you must never let the words of poverty pass your lips. Instead of saying, "I can't afford that," say, "I am not choosing to purchase that at this moment," or better yet, "The divine supply is my supply, and I welcome the abundance to claim that." When you look at a shop window and see a beautiful coat or a fine car, do not shrink back and say, "That is for other people. Bless it." Say, "That is a manifestation of the opulence of God. I give thanks for its beauty." By blessing it, you bring yourself into vibration with it. By cursing the price or lamenting your lack, you build a wall between you and your good. There is a story of a woman who wanted a fur coat. She and her husband had very little money. Every time she looked at furs in the window, she would say, "I can never have that." She pushed it away. Then, she learned the law. She started to say, "God is my supply, and if it is the divine design for me to have that coat, I will have it." She stopped talking about what she didn't have. Shortly after, a wealthy relative, whom she had not seen in years, sent her a trunk of old clothes, and right on top was a magnificent fur coat, hardly worn. Whatever you criticize, you push away. Whatever you affirm as too expensive, you place out of your reach. Stop telling the universe you are poor unless you want to stay that way. The second trap is the health sabotage, often voiced as, I am sick and tired. How often do we use this phrase? I am sick and tired of this traffic. I am sick and tired of this weather. You may think you are just expressing frustration with a situation, but your body cells are eavesdropping. The subconscious takes the command sick and tired and begins to lower your vitality. It depresses the immune system. It creates a heaviness in the spirit. Words possess a vibration. The word sick carries a vibration of disorder. The word tired carries a vibration of exhaustion. Why would you claim these things for yourself? Furthermore, stop discussing your ailments. This is a hard trap to break. We love to share our troubles. We love the sympathy, but sympathy is a crutch that cripples you. When you talk about your aches, your pains, your bad back, or your allergies, you are giving them energy. You are watering the weeds. There is a law. What you give your attention to grows. If you give your attention to disease, you will have more disease. If you are experiencing a physical challenge, do not deny the fact of it, but deny the power of it over you. Do not claim it as my headache. It is not yours. It is a visitor you have invited in through wrong thinking. Show it the door. Replace I am sick and tired with I am awake and alive to the divine plan. The third phrase that kills the miracle at the 11th hour is, it is too good to be true. You are on the verge of a breakthrough. Things are going well. And then, the old fear whispers, and you say, this is too good to be true. Something is bound to go wrong. Putting the other shoe to drop. Why do we do this? We do it because we are afraid of disappointment. We try to protect ourselves by anticipating failure, but by anticipating failure, we invite it. Nothing is too good to be true, because nothing is too good for God. The divine design for your life is a design of perfect happiness, perfect health, and perfect wealth. It is supposed to be good. It is supposed to be easy. When you say, it is too good to be true, you are essentially saying, I am not worthy of this. You are saying that suffering is the norm and happiness is the anomaly. You must reverse this. You must learn to say, nothing is too good to be true. This is God's work, and it is marvelous in our eyes. If you find yourself worrying because things are going too well, treat yourself for fear. Say, I deny this fear. I am fearless and free. I am grateful for this abundance, and I expect more. Do not slam the door in the face of your blessings just as they are arriving. It is not only the words we speak about ourselves that bind us, it is the words we speak about others. This is a stumbling block for many high-minded people. They affirm for themselves, but they criticize their neighbor. Jesus said, judge not, that ye be not judged. This is not a moral command to make you nice. It is a warning about a metaphysical law. When you judge another, you are recognizing a flaw. You are focusing on a negative, and because the subconscious acts as a mirror, whatever you focus on in another, you begin to attract to yourself. If you gossip about your friend's financial failure, you are tuning your mind to the frequency of financial failure. Do not be surprised if your own business takes a dip shortly after. If you constantly criticize someone for being rude, you will find that you encounter rude people everywhere you go. Criticism is a boomerang. It always comes back to the sender. If you wish to be free from faults, stop looking for them in others. When you see a stumbling block in your brother, affirm the truth for him. Say, I see him as God sees him, perfect and divine. By doing this, you heal your own mind, and often you will see the person change before your very eyes. A woman once came to me complaining of a coworker who was mean, spiteful, and made her life miserable. She wanted to quit her job. I told her, do not quit. If you run away, you will find this same woman at the next job, wearing a different hat. You must conquer this in your own consciousness. I gave her a decree to use. Every time she thought of the woman, she was to say, I salute the divinity in you. God is present in you, and peace is between us. At first, she said it through gritted teeth, but she persisted. She stopped bad-mouthing the woman to other colleagues. Within 2 weeks, the woman's attitude changed completely. She became helpful and kind. Why? Because the war had ended in the student's mind. When you lay down your arms mentally, the external battle ceases. We must also address the habit of complaining. Complaining is nothing more than an affirmation of the things you do not want. The children of Israel spent 40 years in the desert instead of a few weeks. Why? Scripture says it was because they murmured. They complained. They complained about the food, the water, the leadership. Their murmuring kept them out of the promised land. You have a promised land. It is your heart's desire. It is the life you dream of. But are you wandering in the desert because you are murmuring? The rent is too high. The government is bad. My husband doesn't understand me. My children are difficult. Every complaint is a brick in the wall that separates you from your good. You might ask, but Florence, what if these things are true? What if the rent is high? What if the situation is difficult? I answer you with the greatest spiritual truth. Appearances are deceiving. What you see with your eyes is the result of past thinking. It is old news. If you react to it, you perpetuate it. If you want to change it, you must look through it. You must walk by faith, not by sight. To walk by faith means to speak the words of the new condition before it arrives. When the walls of Jericho were to come down, the command was given, "Shout, for the Lord hath given you the city." They did not shout after the walls fell. They shouted at the walls. They shouted in the face of the obstacle. And the vibration of their faith, expressed through sound, shattered the masonry. You have walls in your life. Maybe it is a wall of debt. Maybe it is a wall of sickness. You have been staring at the wall, complaining about the wall, analyzing the height of the wall. It is time to shout. It is time to use the power of the spoken word to dissolve the obstacle. But you cannot shout the victory if you are whispering defeat. You cannot dissolve the wall if you are cementing it with your daily conversation. Many of you are living in what I call an armed truce with your subconscious. You are trying to think positive thoughts, but deep down, you are terrified. You say the affirmations, but you check the mail with dread. You pray for money, but you hold on to every penny with fear. This is a house divided against itself, and a house divided cannot stand. The subconscious is influenced not just by the word, but by the feeling behind the word. If you say, "I am wealthy," but you feel poor, the subconscious accepts the feeling over the word. However, and this is the key, consistent, persistent speech can change the feeling. This is why we decree. This is why we affirm. We are like water dripping on a stone. Eventually, the word wears a groove in the subconscious. Eventually, the fear dissolves and the conviction takes hold. But this process is halted every time you revert to negative speech. It is like heating a kettle of water. You heat it up with your affirmations, but then you take it off the stove with your complaints. The water never boils. You must be vigilant. You must stand porter at the door of your thought. When a negative word tries to escape your lips, swallow it. Literally, swallow it. Do not let it vibrate into the ether. Replace it instantly with a word of truth. If you catch yourself saying, "I'm so worried about," stop, correct it. Say, "I cast this burden on the Christ within, and I go free." If you catch yourself saying, "I'll never get ahead," stop, correct it. Say, "God's ways are ingenious, and my supply is endless." My friends, we have laid the foundation. We have exposed the trap. You now understand that your words are not empty air. They are bricks and mortar. You understand that the subconscious is a faithful servant waiting for your command, and you see how you have been giving it the wrong orders. You have learned the 3 phrases to delete: "I can't afford it," "I am sick and tired," and "It is too good to be true." You have seen how gossip and complaint keep you wandering in the desert. But deleting the negative is only half the work. A garden that is weeded but not planted is still empty. We must now learn how to plant the seeds of victory. We must learn the art of the decree. We must learn how to construct affirmations that ring with such spiritual authority that the mountains must move. In the next section, we will cover the specific formulas for wealth, health, and love. I will give you the master keys of speech, the words that open the doors no man can shut. We will learn how to speak to your intuition to get answers and how to bless your money so that it multiplies. The groundwork is laid. Now, we prepare to build. Friends, we have cleared the ground. We have pulled up the weeds of, I can't afford it, and I am sick and tired. We have silenced the murmuring that kept us wandering in the wilderness of lack. Now, the soil of the subconscious mind is ready. It is fresh, fertile, and waiting for the seed. If you do not plant corn, you will get weeds again. That is the law of nature. If you do not plant success, you will get failure. That is the law of mind. So, how do we plant? We plant through the art of the decree. To decree is to command. It is not to beg, it is not to beseech. Many people pray like beggars. They say, "O God, please, if it be thy will, help me out of this mess." There is no power in that. There is no conviction. You must realize that the divine design for your life is already finished in the superconscious mind. The health, the wealth, the love, it is already there. You are not creating it, you are releasing it. Therefore, you must speak with authority. You must speak as one who knows that his supply is at hand. You must emulate the centurion in the Bible who said, "Speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed." He knew the power of the command. Let us begin with the demonstration of supply. This is where most people falter. They look at their bank accounts, and their hearts sink. They see the pile of bills, and they feel the cold grip of fear. How do we turn this around with the spoken word? First, you must stop calling it debt. The word debt carries a vibration of burden and obligation. Instead, call it obligations to be met, or channels of circulation. When you pay a bill, do not pay it with a grudge. Do not say, "There goes my last dollar." If you send money out with a grudge, you put a curse on it, and it does not return. You must learn to bless your money. I give you this formula to use every time you spend $1, whether for a loaf of bread or a mortgage payment. I bless this money. It is God in action. It goes out to bless the receiver, and it returns to me 1,000-fold, under grace, in a perfect way. What have you done? You have transformed a transaction of loss into a transaction of gain. You have impressed the subconscious that your supply is inexhaustible. You are dipping your bucket into the ocean of the infinite. You are not draining a muddy puddle. There is a great spiritual law regarding the magic purse of the Spirit. You must affirm, "I have a magic purse of the Spirit." It can never be depleted. As money goes out, money comes in. It is always crammed, jammed with abundance, under grace, in perfect ways. Say this until you feel the click. The click is the moment of realization. It is the moment when the worry drops away and you know it is done. Once you have the realization, the manifestation must follow. It may come through a raise, a gift, a new client, or a check in the mail, but come it must. But you say, "Florence, I have bills due tomorrow and no money." This is the test of your faith. This is the 11th hour. In the 11th hour, you must not waver. You must stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Standing still does not mean doing nothing. It means maintaining your poise. It means keeping your vibration high. Panic is the enemy. Panic cuts the wires. You must say to that bill, "God is my supply, and you are paid." Speak to the obstacle. Tell it where to go. I remember a student who was in deep financial trouble. She needed $3,000 by a certain date, or she would face a lawsuit. She was terrified. She came to me and I said, "You are scattering your forces with fear. You are visualizing the lawsuit. You must visualize the check." We sat together and spoke the word, "Infinite Spirit, open the way for the immediate appearance of this money." Let it come through a direct channel, quickly and in peace. Then I told her to do something that seems contradictory to the reasoning mind. Prepare for the money. I told her to organize her desk, to get her papers in order, to act as if the check had already arrived. She cleaned her house. She prepared the vessel. On the very last day, at the very last hour, an old investment she had forgotten about matured and paid out exactly the amount she needed. She had to dig the ditches to let the water flow in. Now, let us speak of the intuition, for the spoken word and intuition go hand in hand. When you speak the word, you are placing an order with the infinite. I wish to secure a new position. You have spoken. Now, you must listen. The superconscious mind will answer you, but it often answers in a still small voice. We call this a hunch. You might get a sudden impulse to call a certain person. You might get a feeling to walk down a certain street. You might feel urged to buy a certain newspaper. Follow these leads. This is the universe taking you by the hand to lead you to your demonstration. Many people speak the word and then sit on the sofa waiting for the money to fall through the ceiling. That is not faith, that is laziness. Faith without works is dead. You must show active faith. If you have affirmed for a new job, dress for the job. Get up in the morning and be ready. If you have affirmed for health, stop acting like an invalid. Do not talk about your symptoms. Do not research your disease. To research the disease is to worship it. Instead, affirm, I am identified with the Spirit. My body is a temple of the living God, electric with life and vigor. Every time a pain comes, say, this is not the truth is perfection. I deny this appearance. It takes courage to do this. It takes spiritual grit. But the kingdom of heaven is taken by violence, the violence of a determined mind that refuses to accept anything less than God's best. Let us discuss the realm of love and divine selection. Many hearts are breaking because they are trying to force a specific person to love them. They affirm, I want John to marry me, or I want Mary to return. This is a violation of the spiritual law. You cannot coerce another's will. When you try to force a specific person, you are outlining. You are telling God how to do His work. You do not know if John is the right man for you. He may be the worst thing that could happen to you. Instead, you must speak the word for the divine selection. You say, Infinite Spirit, open the way for the divine design of my life. If this person is for me, I cannot lose them. If they are not for me, I do not want them. Send me the man, or woman, who belongs to me by divine right, and with whom I will be perfectly happy. This takes the burden off. It releases the tension. If that person is the one, they will come. If they are not, someone better, someone who fits the pattern of your life perfectly will appear. I have seen this happen 1,000 times. A woman weeps over a lost love, speaks the word for the right man, and 6 months later, she is married to someone who makes her happier than she ever dreamed possible. And she says, thank God the other one got away. Stop talking about your loneliness. Stop saying, all the good ones are taken. That is a lie. The universe is full of good ones. But you cannot attract a prince while you are speaking the language of a pauper. You cannot attract a harmonious marriage while you are complaining about men or women. Your word is your wand. Wave it over your love life to bless, not to curse. Now, we must address the concept of non-resistance. This is the hardest law for the intellect to grasp. The intellect wants to fight. It wants to argue. It wants to get even. But the spiritual law says, resist not evil. Why? Because when you resist a thing, you feed it. You give it your attention, and therefore, your energy. To fight a situation is to keep it alive. Suppose someone has wronged you. The natural instinct is to talk about it, to tell everyone how terrible they are, to plan your revenge, but all you are doing is tying yourself to that person with a cord of hate. You are drinking poison and expecting them to die. You must dissolve the link. You must speak the word of forgiveness. I forgive everyone, and everyone forgives me. The gates swing open for my good. I call on the law of forgiveness. I am free from mistakes and the consequences of mistakes. When you forgive, you are not doing it for the other person. You are doing it for yourself. You are cutting the anchor chain so your ship can sail. I have known people who held onto a grudge for 20 years, and in doing so, they developed arthritis, or heart trouble, or poverty. The resentment ate away their substance. The moment they really spoke the word of forgiveness and meant it, the condition healed. The money flowed, the body recovered. Forgiveness is the strongest form of taking the wand and clearing the path. There will be times when the army of the aliens surrounds you. These aliens are negative thoughts, fear, doubt, regret, anger. They camp around your mind and try to starve you out. This is when you must stand clad in the armor of the spoken word. You do not fight them with willpower. You fight them with the word. When fear knocks at the door, send faith to answer it, and you will find no one there. When the thought comes, what if I fail? You answer immediately, God cannot fail, therefore I cannot fail. I am success. You must be quick. You must be like a fencer, parrying every thrust of the negative with a thrust of the positive. If you let the negative thought sit there, it will take root. You must chop it down the moment it rears its head. We must also speak of the divine design. Each of you has a divine design. There is a place that you are to fill that no one else can fill. There is something you are to do that no one else can do. When you are in your divine design, you are happy, you are rich, you are healthy. All conditions are perfect. But many are working contrary to their design. They are forcing themselves into careers they hate because of money, or living lives others expect of them. You can release your divine design with speech. Affirm. Infinite Spirit, open the way for the divine design of my life to manifest. Let the genius within me be released. Let me see clearly the perfect plan. When you say this, do not be surprised if great changes occur. You may lose your current job. Do not panic. It is only because a better one is waiting. The old must go for the new to come. The debris must be cleared before the skyscraper can be built. Never mourn a loss. A loss is often a gain in disguise. If a door closes, it is because it was not your door. Praise the closing door. Say, I praise this situation. Good must come of it. The best is yet to be. This attitude of praise is the highest form of prayer. It is the acknowledgement that God is in charge, even in the whirlwind. Finally, remember that the spoken word must be backed by the feeling of joy. You cannot manifest while you are grim. You cannot manifest while you are gritty. You must be light. You must be happy. Serve the Lord with gladness. The universe is a game. Play it with a light touch. Do not make it heavy work. If you are praying for money, buy a new wallet. Show the subconscious you expect something to put in it. If you are praying for a guest, set the table. Act as if. Speak as if. Be as if. As we conclude this session, I want you to take a mental inventory of your vocabulary. Catch yourself today. When you start to say, I'm afraid, change it to, I am confident. When you start to say, it's hard, change it to, it is easy. When you start to say, I am unlucky, change it to, I am divinely favored. You are the captain of your soul. You are the director of your movie. You have the script in your hands. Why write a tragedy when you can write a triumph? The past is dead. It has no power over you unless you give it power by talking about it. The future is unborn. It is waiting for your command. The only time is now. I leave you with this master decree. Write it on your heart. Speak it when you wake, and speak it when you sleep. I cast every burden on the Christ within, and I go free to be loving, harmonious, and happy. The unexpected good now happens. My ships come in over a calm sea. I am now linked by an unbreakable magnetic cord with all that belongs to me by divine right. Thy kingdom is come, thy will is done, in me and my affairs. Go forth and speak your world into existence. The wand is in your hand. Use it well.
Before a blessing ever appears in your hands, it must first know your name. In the spiritual realm, nothing wanders. Every good thing is assigned. But most people never receive their blessing because they never claim it in the only place it truly matters, the unseen. The world teaches you to wait until you can see it, touch it, or hold it before you call it yours. But the law says the opposite. You must name it and claim it before it can find you. I will show you how to secure your blessing so fully in spirit that when it appears in the physical, it feels like nothing more than the delivery of what you already own. Miss this law, and your blessing will drift to another. Obey it, and you will live in a world where every good thing has your spiritual signature upon it. My dear one, do you know why so many prayers seem unanswered? It is not because God has withheld them, nor because the supply was absent. It is because the blessing was never given an identity in spirit. You must understand, in the unseen world, everything is already finished, already complete, already in perfect form. There is no one day in spirit. There is only now. But until you name what you desire and place your spiritual ownership upon it, it remains unclaimed merchandise in heaven's storehouse. And in that storehouse, unclaimed blessings are eventually reassigned. I once counseled a woman who desperately wanted a home. She prayed, she begged, she wept, but her words were vague. She said, "I want somewhere to live. Any place will do." And Spirit took her at her word. She received a damp, dark basement apartment she could barely stand to live in. Why? Because she never named her blessing in the spirit. I told her, "Be specific. See the home. Speak of it as yours." She began to describe it aloud. A bright, sunny house, near the water with roses in the garden. She wrote it down and thanked God for my beautiful house, as if she already dwelt in it. Within weeks, a friend called. She had to move suddenly and offered her a cottage by the sea, with roses blooming at the gate. She had named it, therefore she claimed it, therefore it had to find her. This is the first great secret of the law of name and claim. The blessing must hear its name to know where to go. If you simply wish vaguely, you send no instruction to the unseen. But when you name it, you attach a spiritual address. Heaven's delivery system never misses when the address is clear. Think of it this way. If you ordered a package online but gave no street name, no house number, no city, no postal code, how would it ever arrive? In the same way, many souls cry for prosperity, but never say what that prosperity looks like. Do you mean a lump sum, a steady income, debt cancellation, a specific amount? You must say it in spirit the way you would say it to a trusted messenger. I will tell you plainly, the moment you name your blessing, you give it a coat of arms in the unseen. It now carries your spiritual insignia, and the moment it is named, you have shifted it from the realm of anyone to the realm of yours. This is why you must be bold in naming your good. Meekness in the spirit does not mean timidity, it means humility before God, but courage before the unseen. Now hear me well. Some of you have already lost blessings because you failed to name them. Opportunities passed you by, promotions went to others, relationships dissolved before they began. You may think it was bad luck or timing, but I tell you, it was a spiritual misaddress. The law is exact, and it will not break its own order to suit our half-spoken desires. This is why, before you can claim, you must name. And here is my counsel to you. Do not name in doubt, name in certainty. Do not say, I hope to have it. Say, it is mine. Do not ask, could I receive this? Say it is appointed to me. When you speak like this, you are not lying. You are telling the truth of the unseen. The physical will always lag behind the spiritual, but it must catch up, because the two realms are mirrors. I remember telling a man who was seeking work, do not pray for a job, pray for the right job, with the right pay, at the right time and the right conditions. Name it and hold it in the spirit. He followed my advice, and soon an offer came from a place he had never applied to, with better pay and hours than he had imagined. He looked at me and said, "It's exactly what I named." I smiled and replied, "Of course it is. The law has no other choice once you name and claim. So I say to you, dear one, as you listen to these words, search your heart. What blessing have you left unnamed? What desire have you left wandering in the unseen without a label? Stop leaving your future to chance. Stop asking for something good, and start asking for the exact thing that belongs to you. The moment you name it, you tell the unseen, this is mine. Deliver it to me without delay. And when you do this in faith, without wavering, you will be astonished at how quickly heaven obeys your spiritual command. The power of naming in the spirit is the power of creation itself. God created the heavens and the earth by speaking them into being, and the same spiritual law operates in you. Words are not decorations to your thoughts. They are the carriers of your authority. When you name a blessing in faith, you are stamping it with the seal of divine ownership, and that seal cannot be forged, intercepted, or erased. In the unseen realm, there is no confusion. Everything responds to its appointed identity. Just as a shepherd calls each sheep by name, and it comes running, so too does your blessing respond to the name you give it. But the tragedy I see daily is that people have surrendered the sacred act of naming to the forces of fear and chance. They say, I'll take whatever comes, and whatever comes is rarely what they desire. They open the gate to anyone's blessing, and then wonder why the one meant for them never arrives. I tell you plainly, you have the right, the divine privilege to call your blessing into form by naming it clearly and reverently. When you whisper its description in your quiet time, when you write it down in the secret place, when you thank God for it before a scrap of evidence appears, you are performing the holy act of spiritual naming. You are doing exactly what the Creator did at the dawn of time, speaking light into darkness. Let me give you this image. Imagine you are in a vast library filled with every book ever written and every book yet to be written. Somewhere in that library is the exact volume of your blessing. It contains every detail, the way it will look, feel, arrive, and fit perfectly into your life. But if you simply say, "Bring me a book," the librarian of the universe will bring you anything. A book of sorrow, a book of delay, a book of struggle. Only when you say, "Bring me the volume titled My Debt-Free Life with Overflowing Abundance printed in gold on the cover," will the librarian smile and know exactly where to go. This is why I warn you, careless naming is dangerous. To say "I am broke" is to name yourself into lack. To say "I never get a break" is to name yourself into continual frustration. You are not only naming your blessings, you are also naming your conditions, your seasons, your reality. The unseen does not judge whether your naming is wise or foolish. It simply obeys. This is the very reason I insist on speaking your good as already here. If you say, One day I'll have a beautiful home. You push it into the future indefinitely. But if you say, I live in my beautiful home now, every room is filled with peace and joy, you summon it into the present in spirit. And when it is present in spirit, the physical must align. A woman once came to me saying she wanted a husband. I asked her, have you named him? She looked startled and said, well, no. I just want to be married. I explained, if you don't name his qualities, the law will send anyone to fill the role, and you may regret it. She went home and wrote a list: kind, generous, successful in his work, loving God with a sense of humor, fond of children. Within months she met a man who matched every word. He told her later, I felt like you were calling me before I even knew you. That is the power of naming in the spirit. Now I must give you a word of warning and encouragement in the same breath. Once you name your blessing, you must refuse to rename it in fear. Too many people start in faith and finish in doubt. They call it prosperity one day and impossible the next. This is like writing the correct address on a letter and then crossing it out every other day, replacing it with a different one. No wonder the delivery is delayed. The law is consistent, but it cannot deliver to a moving target. So I say to you, once you have named it, hold that name steady. Guard it as you would guard a child's life. Write it in your journal, speak it in your prayers, and keep it in the quiet chamber of your heart. When doubt knocks, do not open the door. When fear whispers, do not answer. Keep the name on your lips until the day the blessing walks into your life and says, here I am, you called me, and here is your refreshment for the soul. Remember this, you are not begging for your blessing, you are summoning what is already yours. You are not asking a stranger for a favor, you are instructing a trusted servant to bring you what has already been purchased on your behalf in the Spirit. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. This is not pride, it is the lawful claiming of your divine inheritance. When you walk in the power of naming in the Spirit, life becomes deliberate instead of accidental. You no longer wait for something good to happen. You name the good you desire and watch the law of God bring it to your door. And once you taste this power, you will never again live like a beggar in the house of abundance. To claim before evidence appears is to live by the highest spiritual law, the law of faith in action. It is the difference between the one who waits for the ship to dock before they unpack their joy, and the one who sets the table for the feast the moment they hear the horn in the distance. I tell you, the unseen realm delivers first class only to those who act as if the package has already been delivered. This is where so many falter. They name their blessing, but they do not truly claim it until they see a sign. And because they wait for a sign, they delay the sign. The law responds to certainty, not hesitation. The moment you claim it in the Spirit, the moment you walk in it with your words, actions, and inner posture, the invisible begins to weave the visible. Think of a gardener who has sown seeds. You would not find him out in the soil, every morning digging them up to check if they have sprouted. He waters them, tends the ground, and expects the green shoots to appear. That is claiming before evidence, a trust so steady that it needs no proof. I once told a woman who desired a better home, start living as if you are already there. She asked, but Florence, how can I, when I am surrounded by peeling paint and broken furniture? I answered, dress the home you have now with the spirit of the one you desire. Speak to it as though it were already transformed. She began polishing her old table as if it were a fine piece from a showroom. She placed flowers in a chipped vase and called it beautiful. Within months, an opportunity came to rent a house beyond her expectations, and she moved in without a cent of debt. Why? Because she claimed it before it appeared. But claiming is more than an action. It is an inner stance. It is the quiet refusal to be swayed by appearances. When others speak lack, you speak fullness. When the outer world says not yet, your inner world says it is done. This is why Jesus spoke of believing you have received before you see. It is not poetic. It is the precise instruction for operating divine law. And here is where the adversary of doubt tries to creep in. It will point to the empty hand and say, "You are lying," but faith is not a lie. It is alignment with the truth that exists before your eyes can see it. When you claim, you are not pretending. You are stepping into reality ahead of the crowd. Let me give you an image to hold. Imagine you have ordered a fine piece of furniture from the best craftsman in the land. You have paid in full. The craftsman tells you it will take 6 weeks to arrive. Do you spend those 6 weeks telling your friends, "I don't know if it will come. Maybe he forgot me. Maybe it was a mistake"? No. You prepare the place where it will stand. You tell guests, "In this corner will be my beautiful new cabinet." You dust the space. You keep it ready. This is claiming without evidence. In my own life, I have walked this path many times. When I was called to speak in halls where the seats had not yet been booked, I prepared my message as though the room were already full. And when the day came, the seats were filled to overflowing. The law does not fail the one who has already taken possession in spirit. But you must also understand this. To claim before evidence appears requires the discipline to hold your claims steady in the face of delay. Delay is not denial. It is preparation. If you abandon your claim because the outer world has not yet bowed to the inner, you forfeit the delivery. The package will arrive, but it will find the door shut and move on to another. So here is your soul's refreshment for this section. Treat your desire as a guest already on the way. Prepare for it. Make room for it. Speak of it as though it has already crossed the threshold. The way you prepare the space in your life tells the unseen whether you are serious about receiving. A room unprepared says, "I am not ready." But a space cleared, polished and expectant says, "I have been waiting for you." And know this. Your claim is not a request. It is a declaration. It is your legal notice to the universe that the blessing is yours by divine right. You are not stealing. You are not grasping. You are not taking what belongs to another. You are aligning with what was already assigned to your name before the foundation of the world. When you begin to live in the light of this truth, you will find the line between the unseen and the seen growing thinner each day. What you claim in the morning will arrive by evening. What you set your faith upon in secret will appear in the open. The law is not slow. It is precise. It moves at the speed of your certainty. Once you have named your blessing and claimed it in the unseen, the next work is to guard it until delivery. Many souls lose their good, not because they failed to believe, but because they failed to protect the seed of that belief. A claim left unguarded is like a jewel left on the open street. Sooner or later, someone or something will try to take it from you. The moment you set your intention, there will come voices, sometimes from others, often from within, whispering doubt, ridicule, or fear. What if it doesn't happen? Who do you think you are to have that? It's taking too long. Maybe it wasn't meant for you, my dear one. These are thieves in the night. They cannot take the blessing itself, for that is secured in the Spirit, but they can rob you of your faith, and without faith, your delivery loses its address. I recall a young man who had named and claimed a position in a company far above his current station. He began to prepare for it, study for it, speak of it as though it were already his. Then one day, a friend scoffed, "You? They'll never give you that job." He laughed nervously and said, "Yes, you're probably right." Within a week, he received news that the position had been filled by another man less qualified, but more confident. The law had heard him revoke his claim. Guarding your claim means refusing to entertain any word, thought, or image that contradicts it. When such a thought appears, and it will, you must cast it down immediately and replace it with the truth of your divine right. This is why I tell my students, never discuss your desires with anyone who will speak against them. The walls of your mind are not to be decorated with the graffiti of other people's disbelief. There is a discipline to guarding the claim. It means you speak of your blessing only in the affirmative, only in the present, and only to those who will agree with you in faith. If you cannot find such a person, then agree with God alone. Your agreement with the divine is enough to bring the delivery to pass. Let me give you an image. A pregnant woman does not allow just anyone to speak over her unborn child. She protects the life within her. She eats for it, rests for it, prays for it. She does not open the door to fear or gossip. She guards it until the appointed time, when it comes forth in perfect form. Your blessing is no different. It is conceived in spirit the moment you name and claim it, and it must be carried in faith until it is born into the visible. Guarding also means watching over your own tongue. The most dangerous enemy to your claim is not always outside you. It is often your own speech. You may pray in the morning, "My wealth flows to me freely," and then say in the afternoon, "I can't afford that." Such contradictions are like cutting the string of a kite and wondering why it fell. Once you have named and claimed, every word thereafter must be in harmony with that claim. And here is your refresher for this truth. The tongue can either secure the delivery or cancel the order. Speak as though the blessing were already in your hand. Do not explain delays. Do not excuse appearances. Do not justify lack. Simply hold your claim steady with words that match the reality you have chosen in spirit. There will be moments when the weight tests you. The temptation will come to loosen your grip, to settle for less, to say, "Maybe this smaller thing is what God meant for me." But I tell you, if you named it in faith, do not trade it for a substitute. The counterfeit always appears before the real, hoping you will take the bait. This is the last trial before manifestation. Hold out. I have seen students who waited years for a specific blessing, only to have it arrive exactly as they named it, in perfect condition, because they refused to water down their vision. The law honors the one who guards their claim as sacred, so keep the blessing safe in your spirit. When others ask how it's going, say, "It is unfolding perfectly." When your mind whispers worry, say, "This is already mine." When appearances say otherwise, say, "I do not walk by sight, but by divine order." This is how you guard your claim until the delivery knocks at your door, and it will knock, for the law never forgets an address written in faith. The final movement in the law of name and claim is not merely to receive, but to receive without resistance. Many souls fail at this last, simplest step because they do not understand that reception is not passive. It is a full, open-handed agreement with the divine's timing and delivery. You see, some people name their blessing, claim it in faith, guard it with diligence, and then when it arrives, they shrink back. They say, "This feels too big for me. What if I cannot keep it? What if I lose it?" And in those moments, they push away the very thing they prayed for. The law does not force blessings upon a closed door. Your reception must be as active as your claiming. Receiving without resistance means you accept the blessing in the same spirit with which you claimed it, as your rightful inheritance. You do not apologize for it. You do not feel guilty for it. You do not downplay it to make others comfortable. To do so is to insult the giver. When the divine has prepared a table for you, you sit and eat with gratitude, not hesitation. I remember a woman who had long desired a certain sum of money to start her own business. She spoke it daily, wrote it in her journal, guarded her words, and carried herself as a business owner. One day, an unexpected check arrived for the exact amount she had claimed. But instead of celebrating, she hesitated. What if I invested and fail? Maybe I should save it for emergencies instead. Within weeks, the money was absorbed by small, unplanned expenses. Her fear had turned the blessing into sand running through her fingers. The universe responds to a receiver who stands ready, not just in intention, but in attitude. Readiness is shown by the way you treat your blessing when it arrives. If you believe it is temporary, you will hold it loosely, and it will slip away. If you believe it is permanent, you will integrate it fully into your life. Some of you are naming and claiming, but your subconscious is rehearsing the loss of the very thing you desire. That rehearsal is resistance. It is like inviting a guest to your home and then locking the door. You must train both your conscious and subconscious mind to receive with ease. This is where gratitude becomes the cement that holds the blessing in place. Gratitude before you see it draws it in. Gratitude when it arrives anchors it. Florence would tell her students to bless the blessing, to speak well over it, to declare that it is good, right, and lasting. She knew that what you bless increases, and what you fear dissolves. Another subtle form of resistance is self-disqualification. The thought that I do not deserve this. Let me tell you, no one receives by deserving. We receive by aligning. The blessings of life are not wages for labor, but gifts for belief. When you start to measure your worthiness by your past mistakes or present imperfections, you put yourself outside the flow of grace. Your role is not to be perfect, but to be in agreement with the law. And here is your soul's refresher for this moment. You cannot both hold the blessing and hold the fear of losing it. One must go. If you cling to fear, the blessing will slip away. If you cling to faith, fear will dissolve. Choose faith every time. Receiving without resistance also means being willing to accept the form in which the blessing arrives. Many block their good because it does not look exactly like the picture in their mind. You may name and claim a sum of money, and it arrives as a new client, an opportunity, or a gift instead of a check. The immature soul says, "This isn't it." The wise soul says, "This is the channel by which my good has flowed." The law always delivers in the most direct, perfect way, and it may surprise you. I once knew a man who claimed a new home. In his mind it was a white house on a certain street, but what came to him was a beautiful stone cottage in a better neighborhood, for less than he expected. Had he rejected it because it was not the white house, he would have missed the greater gift. The law answered his desire, but improved upon it. When you receive, you must trust that the divine knows your heart better than you do. To receive without resistance is to stand in the full ownership of your blessing, not with clenched fists, but with open palms. It is to walk as though it were always yours, because in truth it was. The law does not give, it reveals. The blessing existed for you before you named it. Your naming only brought it into your awareness. Your claiming brought it into your possession, and your receiving seals it into your experience. So when your good appears, whether in a whisper or in a flood, welcome it as the friend you have long expected. Do not test it, do not second-guess it, and do not put it on probation. Bless it, embrace it, and fold it into the fabric of your life. This is how blessings remain, by being received as permanent, rightful parts of your existence. And as you walk in this truth, you will find that each blessing you name, claim, guard, and receive comes faster than the last. For you will have trained your mind and spirit to operate the law without friction. The channel will widen, the flow will quicken, and you will live in a state where your only work is to decide what good you will call next. You have now heard the law in its fullness. The blessing you desire is not wandering somewhere in the dark, waiting for chance to guide it to you. It is here, in the invisible, waiting for you to step forward as its rightful owner. First, you must understand why so many lose their good before it even reaches them, because they have not marked it in the unseen. Then you must speak its name in the spirit, for naming is the act of claiming in the higher courts. After that, you take possession before any proof appears, standing in invisible ownership, as though you had already signed for the delivery. You guard that claim like a precious seed, refusing to let doubt, fear, or the careless words of others uproot it. And when it arrives, for it surely will, you receive it without hesitation, without guilt, and without apology, folding it into your life as the natural fruit of your faith. This is not theory, this is the law by which the universe moves. You can walk past this truth and continue hoping, or you can step into it and live in a world where every good thing is yours before you see it. Florence would tell her students, the invisible always comes before the visible. Treat it as real, and it will become so. So now I ask you, what will you name today? What will you claim in the presence of heaven and earth? Do not wait for perfect timing. The timing is now. Do not wait for worthiness. Worthiness was granted when you were born. Do not wait for signs. The sign is this very message reaching your ears. Speak it, mark it, claim it, guard it, receive it, and watch as the unseen becomes your daily reality. If this truth has awakened something in you, do not keep it silent. Share it, speak it over your life, and pass it to those who are still wandering without their blessing. And if your spirit knows that this is the law you were meant to walk in, then take this moment to name your good out loud and claim it as yours before this day ends. Your blessing is not far. It is simply waiting for you to call it home.
Before the stars take their posts in the velvet sky, and the world draws its final breath of the day, there lies a sacred moment. Yours and yours alone. In this quiet hour, when the noise has stilled and the mind is softened like wax ready to be imprinted, the words you speak to yourself carry more weight than gold. These are not idle phrases. They are affirmations, spells, divine commands, mighty declarations that shape the invisible currents around you. The world you live in is not fixed. It is a mirror of your inner speech, your inner belief, your inner vibration. Each night, before your head finds its rest upon the pillow, you stand at the threshold of creation. What you declare in these moments moves swiftly into the soil of the subconscious, which never sleeps, and which brings forth whatever seed is sown into it, whether wheat or weeds. And so, I say, guard your inner garden. Tend to it with intention and grace. Speak not as a beggar pleading for crumbs, but as a king reclaiming his kingdom. You are not here to suffer through the chaos of the world. You are here to rise above it, to transmute it, to co-create with the infinite. But your power is unlocked only when you align your thoughts with truth. Not the facts of fear or limitation, but the truth of divine abundance, unshakable peace, and radiant wholeness. Say to yourself, all that is mine by divine right now comes to me in perfect ways. And mean it. Declare, I cast this day into the sea of forgetfulness, only its blessings shall return unto me. Let no regret remain unhealed. Let no fear remain unchallenged. Tonight you are not preparing to sleep, you are preparing to ascend, to plant. To realign your spirit with the source of all good. Each of these 10 things you will tell yourself is not merely a sentence. It is a key. A key that opens doors, dissolves obstacles, clears your path, and reorders your world according to the divine blueprint written in your soul. They are words of power, wrapped in simplicity, soaked in faith. Let your tongue speak only that which you wish to see multiplied. For what you speak in the darkness is heard in the light. What you affirm in silence is echoed by the universe. What you believe without doubt becomes flesh and form. So speak now, beloved soul. Not to describe the world as it is, but to command it as it shall be. Your words are seeds. Plant only what you wish to grow. This simple statement holds the weight of all spiritual law, the foundation of every miracle, and the quiet force behind every visible change. In the great invisible garden of your life, there is no idle speech, no neutral statement, no wasted phrase. Every word you speak is a seed, alive with vibration, encoded with potential, and destined to bear fruit. Whether spoken aloud or whispered within, your words carry the energy of creation, and what you plant must eventually rise. We do not live by effort alone, but by consciousness. Consciousness is formed by thought, belief, and speech. Thought gives the blueprint. Belief gives it roots, but speech gives it life. When you speak, you are not merely communicating. You are activating law. You are declaring what is true for you, whether it serves you or not. The subconscious, that vast and fertile ground, accepts every word as instruction. It does not analyze, argue, or reject. It obeys. It brings forth in form whatever has been impressed upon it consistently, emotionally, and faithfully. Therefore, your responsibility is sacred to guard your mouth as a gardener guards the soil. No wise gardener plants thorns when she desires roses. No careful farmer scatters weeds when he hopes for golden wheat. And yet, how many times have we spoken of lack, fear, disappointment, and called it reality? Every complaint is a seed, every self-criticism is a seed. Every word of doubt, spoken in frustration or defeat, is a seed, and like all seeds, it waits in silence until the conditions are right. Then, without fail, it springs forth. But the same is true for blessings. Every word of faith is a seed. Every loving affirmation is a seed. Every declaration of joy, peace, and abundance carries within it the pattern of that very good. Speak, therefore, not of things as they seem, but of things as you would have them be. This is not delusion, it is divine cooperation with the creative process. Life responds not to your circumstances, but to your consciousness of them. When you affirm beauty, goodness, and supply, even in the face of lack, you are not lying to yourself, you are aligning yourself with the higher law, which is not moved by appearances. Let us say a man is poor in purse but rich in spirit. If he speaks only of his lack, if he declares daily how little he has, how hard things are, how far off his dreams appear, he is watering the seed of poverty, and no matter his efforts, he will reap according to his words. But if he begins to speak as one already supplied, if he says, "My supply is unlimited, for God is my source," if he declares, "Divine substance flows to me now, easily and abundantly," then he plants a different seed. and in due season the form will follow. This law is impartial. It does not care if you plant joy or sorrow, peace or conflict, it simply produces. The soil does not question the worth of the seed, it responds. Likewise, the subconscious does not reject negativity, it fulfills it. You may speak with casual frustration, saying, "I can never get a break," or "I'm always behind," and think nothing of it. But those seeds do not disappear. They are recorded, planted, and tended by the very spiritual mechanisms that govern all creation. And then we wonder why certain patterns repeat, why certain conditions persist. Your tongue is not just for expression, it is an instrument of direction. With it, you guide your life. Every word is a steering wheel, every sentence a compass point. When you speak carelessly, you drift. When you speak with intention, you align. The scriptures say, "Life and death are in the power of the tongue." This is not poetic metaphor, it is metaphysical law. You may be surrounded by difficulty, hemmed in by circumstances that seem immovable, and yet with one persistent, faith-filled declaration, you may begin to change the entire landscape. It begins with inner awareness. Listen to yourself. What do you say in the quiet hours, when no one is around to correct or comfort you? What do you declare as truth about your body, your finances, your relationships? Are your words creative or destructive? Are you planting seeds of victory or seeds of fear? Do you bless your life or curse it? The key is not repression, but redirection. You do not have to deny that challenges exist, but you must refuse to make them your truth. You can acknowledge a situation and still speak from power. You can say, "This may be the appearance now, but divine order is unfolding." You can say, "Though I walk through the valley, I do not fear, for good is at hand." These are not empty phrases, they are declarations of spiritual authority, and they carry creative force. Imagine every night as the time you return to your inner field. In the stillness of evening, when the outer world quiets and the subconscious becomes receptive, your words become even more potent. Speak not of what troubled you. Speak of what is becoming. Say, "I am divinely guided in all that I do." Say, "Only good comes to me now." Say, "I plant perfect seeds tonight, and perfect results shall bloom." Your sleep is not just rest, it is the time your garden grows. Let it grow something worthy. Children speak with imagination and faith, never questioning the power of their declarations. They say, "I am a superhero," or "I can fly," and in that moment they are. Their words are pure. They have not yet been trained to fear, to doubt, to hedge. We must return to that spiritual innocence, not naive, but knowing. Knowing that what we speak over our lives, repeatedly and with belief, becomes flesh. This is not philosophy, it is spiritual law. And the more you speak with love, power, clarity, and joy, the more your life will reflect that energy. Guard your word then. Let no phrase escape your lips that you would not want written in stone. Refuse to entertain the old habits of complaint and self-condemnation. Each word either builds or breaks, blesses or binds, uplifts or undermines. If you desire peace, speak peace. If you desire love, speak lovingly. If you desire prosperity, speak of plenty, not as something far off, but as something already yours by divine right. Affirm it until your words feel real, and when they do, reality must conform. The subconscious never sleeps. Speak with divine authority. This truth is at the heart of every spiritual teaching that understands the unseen forces governing life. The conscious mind tires, the body seeks rest. The world closes its eyes, but the subconscious remains awake, watching, recording, shaping. It is the silent servant that works day and night, never questioning your commands, never interrupting your intentions. It is, in truth, the builder behind the scenes, and it creates not from effort or logic, but from impression. And the tool of impression, more than anything else, is your word. What you speak becomes the instruction manual for the subconscious. It is not moved by emotion unless emotion is spoken. It does not respond to thoughts unless they are deeply felt and continually expressed. But once a word is spoken with belief, especially at the threshold of sleep, it is planted like a decree into the fertile ground of the soul, and from that moment the wheels begin to turn. The subconscious begins to attract, organize, orchestrate, and assemble all that is necessary for the fulfillment of that spoken word. The subconscious mind is the great workshop of spirit. It is the womb of creation, and it does not discriminate between good or bad, love or fear, wealth or poverty. It brings forth what is fed into it. Like soil that does not care what seed is dropped into its surface, the subconscious receives every word as law. Therefore, if you speak with fear, it obeys fear. If you speak with limitation, it constructs barriers. If you speak with faith, it moves mountains. Your authority lies not in force, but in alignment. And to align your speech with divine law is to command the universe without strain. Too many people speak without awareness. They treat words as ornaments, not instruments. They say, "I'm always so tired," and so they are. They declare, "Nothing ever works out for me," and the subconscious, ever obedient, fulfills the order. They say, "I never have enough," and that pattern is reinforced. The subconscious is not a judge, it is a mirror. Whatever is spoken with emotion becomes reflected in experience. Now, consider what happens when one begins to speak consciously, intentionally, with spiritual understanding. When one says, "All things are working together for my good," and speaks it not as a wish, but as a knowing. When one lies down at night and says, "Divine wisdom guides me even in my sleep," or, "My body restores itself perfectly as I rest," the subconscious receives those words and begins to act accordingly. New patterns are formed, old conditions begin to dissolve, and life gradually shifts to match the tone of the inner decree. To speak with divine authority does not mean to shout or to demand from ego. It means to speak from truth, to speak from alignment with the law of the universe. The authority is not personal, it is spiritual. You do not command because you are strong in will, but because you are surrendered to truth. When you declare a thing with faith, you are not trying to make it happen. You are acknowledging that it already exists in the invisible, and your word is the invitation for it to come into form. There is no more powerful moment to speak than at the edge of sleep. In that liminal space between wakefulness and dream, the conscious mind steps back, and the subconscious opens fully. It is here that affirmations become most potent. Say to yourself, "I am safe, I am loved, I am whole," and those words echo through the corridors of the deeper mind. Say, "I release this day with gratitude. Tomorrow brings greater blessings," and that becomes the blueprint the subconscious follows. Your word at night is not the end of thought. It is the beginning of manifestation. If you have spoken poorly of yourself throughout the day, this is the moment to correct it. If you have worried, feared, doubted, or condemned yourself, this is the moment to erase it with a higher word. The subconscious does not sleep, and it will work with whatever you give it. If you fall asleep repeating a complaint, it does not comfort you. It builds upon that complaint. But if you fall asleep repeating a blessing, it goes to work on your behalf. You are always influencing the unseen. Life is not shaped solely by outer actions, but by inner states. And speech is the bridge between the inner and the outer. Speak what you desire, not what you fear. Declare what you choose to experience, not what you dread. Do not wait for evidence. Speak now, and the evidence will follow. Say, "I prosper in all I do," and let that be your reality. Say, "Love surrounds me and flows through me," and feel the truth of it, even if no outer sign yet exists. The subconscious does not know the difference between current fact and spoken faith. It accepts both as instruction. Those who understand this law do not speak idly. They do not entertain gossip, self-pity, or casual negativity. They understand that every word is a seed, and every sentence is a command. They speak to the subconscious as one would speak to a sacred servant, clearly, respectfully, with unwavering conviction. When you say, "I forgive all and I am free," you are not merely being virtuous. You are cleansing the channel through which good must flow. When you say, "I am guided in every step," you are activating divine intelligence within the deeper self, allowing new insights, synchronicities, and ideas to rise from the depths. Children are masters of this. They speak of magic, possibility, and wonder as though it were normal. They do not analyze or resist. They say, "I'm a superhero," and believe it instantly. That childlike speech is powerful because it is pure. It is untainted by doubt. As adults, we must return to that simplicity, not with naivety, but with spiritual clarity. To speak with divine authority is to know that your word is law to your own subconscious. And that law, once impressed, must be fulfilled. You may not see results overnight, but results are never the true beginning. The beginning is always the word. Your task is not to measure how or when. It is to speak in alignment and leave the rest to law. Just as a seed must grow in darkness before it breaks the soil, so too must the word grow in silence before it becomes visible. Trust the process. The subconscious never sleeps. It is working even now. Give it only what you desire to see. Speak only that which blesses, heals, restores, uplifts, and expands. Let your tongue become the pen of truth, and your life will become its living manuscript. Release the day. Retain only its blessings. Each evening brings with it a divine opportunity to empty the cup of the soul, to pour out what no longer serves, and to keep only what uplifts. As the sun sets and the world begins to quiet, the spirit is invited to lay down its burdens and release the mental clutter gathered throughout the day. This is not avoidance, it is transmutation. It is the sacred act of letting go of all that is heavy, all that is harsh, all that is rooted in fear or regret, while gently gathering the gold. The blessings, the lessons, the beauty, no matter how small. The day may have been full of contrast. It may have brought both joy and friction, ease and tension, laughter and silence. Yet, the soul is not meant to carry every detail forward, to replay each misstep, to rehash each conflict, to brood over what went wrong or what was missed, is to drag the weight of the past into the promise of the future. Every night offers a clean slate, not only in sleep, but in consciousness. But this renewal cannot be received unless the past day is released. Release is not forgetting, nor is it denying. It is choosing what to keep, choosing what to bless, and choosing what to let dissolve back into nothingness. To retain only the blessings is an act of spiritual discipline. It is the ability to sift through the rubble of experience and say, "Here is something I learned," or "Here is a moment of beauty," or even, "Here is where I chose to rise instead of fall." It means refusing to allow the harsh word of another to lodge in your heart. It means unhooking yourself from the disappointment, the delay, the noise. It means saying, "This no longer belongs to me," and returning it to the universal sea where all unneeded things dissolve. The mind, left unchecked, will often cling to the unpleasant. It will replay a mistake, amplify a worry, or relive a scene that stung. This is not because it wishes harm, but because it seeks resolution. Yet, some things are not solved through mental repetition. They are healed through spiritual release. By consciously choosing to bless the day and let it go, you are signaling to your subconscious that only the highest vibrations shall remain. You are saying, "I do not need to carry what weakens me. I am free to hold only what strengthens." Imagine your day as a tapestry. Some threads may be tangled, others woven in perfect harmony. Do not rip it apart. Instead, observe it gently and say, "I thank this day for all it brought. I release it with grace." In doing so, you allow your inner world to remain clear, your subconscious to remain fertile, and your dreams to be inspired rather than burdened. The unresolved conversations, the imagined worries, the fatigue of trying to control every detail, these must be surrendered. There is a wisdom greater than your analysis. Let it take over as you rest. Many people fall asleep with their minds in battle, with themselves, with others, with events already gone, and so their rest is not rest. Their sleep is a rehearsal of fear. But those who release the day before sleep step into the quiet of their spirit. They do not carry the tension of the unfinished, for they trust that what is meant will remain, and what is not will fall away. To retain only the blessings is to declare, "I trust in divine order. I do not need to understand all things to be at peace." Gratitude is the vehicle for release. It is the alchemy that transforms memory into wisdom. When you say, "Thank you for what I experienced," you are not praising difficulty. You are extracting its gift. When you say, "I bless this moment and let it go," you are freeing yourself from its emotional residue. Every experience has something to offer, even if only the clarity of knowing what you no longer want. Bless that knowledge. Bless the contrast. Bless even the silence. For in silence there is often a deeper message. There is no benefit in holding on to what drains you. You are not made stronger by replaying your failures or rehearsing your fears. You are not more responsible because you worry. And you are not more careful because you criticize yourself. True power lies in the ability to release the unnecessary and choose only what elevates your state. If something troubles you, offer it to divine intelligence. Say, "This is too heavy for me. I place it in your hands." If something delights you, imprint it deeply. Let the joy of it echo in your mind. Let the light of it become the lamp that guides your next day. Sleep is not just a physical need, it is a spiritual practice. It is a return to source, a resetting of the inner mechanism, a reunion with higher wisdom. But its healing power is blocked if the mind is cluttered with unfinished dialogues and emotional noise. Just as you would tidy a room before rest, so too must you tidy the mind. Cleanse it of judgment, complaint, resentment. Keep only what is loving, wise, and useful. Say, "I release all tension from this day. I keep the peace, the love, the strength." Say, "I let go of the rest." Each evening is a ritual, a chance to stand at the door of the subconscious and decide what enters. You are the gatekeeper. You choose what to carry forward and what to leave behind. Even if the day felt imperfect, even if it contained moments of sorrow or frustration, you still hold the power to transmute it. You do so not by force, but by choice. You do so not by rewriting history, but by rewriting your response to it. You say, "I choose to remember the beauty. I choose to release the pain." You say, "I am not the sum of what went wrong. I am the awareness that grows from it." To retain only the blessings is not denial, it is mastery. It is refusing to give more life to what drains you. It is choosing to invest your energy in what nourishes you. It is the act of cleansing the soul before rest, of letting the waters of spirit wash away the residue of worldly friction. You may still have work to do, still have healing to welcome, but none of that requires you to carry the weight of every moment into your dreams. Lay it down. Keep what is sacred. Keep what made you softer, wiser, kinder. Let the rest return to the silence from which it came. Affirm truth, not facts. Align with divine law. In the realm of spiritual law, facts are fleeting, ever-changing, bound by circumstance and perception, while truth is eternal, unchanging, and grounded in the divine order of the universe. To affirm truth is to speak from the highest level of reality, the level where spirit governs matter, where love overcomes fear, where divine mind rules over appearances. Facts may tell you that you are lacking, that you are unwell, that doors are closed. But truth declares, "I am whole, I am supplied, I am divinely guided and divinely protected." The difference between the two is not subtle. It is the difference between bondage and freedom. Many people are trapped by the facts. They believe what their senses report without question. They look at their bank account and declare, "I am broke." They feel an ache in the body and say, "I am sick." They encounter resistance and conclude, "This is too hard. It's not meant to be." In doing so, they affirm the lower order of life. They feed the visible, forgetting that all form is temporary and responsive to thought. But those who understand spiritual law do not deny facts. They transcend them. They speak truth over the facts, and the facts begin to shift. When you affirm truth, you do not pretend the storm is not there. You declare the calm within it. You do not ignore the pain. You affirm the healing. You do not deny the loss. You speak of restoration. This is not delusion, this is divine alignment. The divine law does not respond to emotion, panic, or logic. It responds to inner conviction. And your conviction is strengthened by the words you speak consistently, especially in the quiet hours when your heart is most open to receive. Facts are relative, truth is absolute. A fact can change in a moment, but truth remains the same across all time and space. The fact may be, I feel afraid. But the truth is, God is not fear, God is love, and perfect love casts out fear. The fact may be, I made a mistake. The truth is, I am not my past, I am a child of the infinite, constantly growing, evolving, and guided back to alignment. The fact may say, I am alone. But the truth says, I am never alone. For I dwell in the presence of divine love, which never leaves me. You must learn to hear the facts without making them your truth. Spiritual mastery begins with what you affirm. Your words carry power not because of their sound, but because of their source. When you speak from truth, you are not speaking from ego, you are speaking from soul. You are not affirming to convince yourself. You are affirming to remind yourself of what is already yours by divine right. There is no need to earn what has already been given. But you must claim it. The universe cannot bring to you what you do not claim in consciousness. And the act of claiming begins with affirmation. To affirm does not mean to repeat blindly. It means to declare with feeling, with faith, with knowing. When you say, divine abundance flows to me now, you are not asking for money. You are aligning with the law of supply. When you say, I am healed, whole, and perfect, you are not ignoring symptoms. You are affirming the spiritual blueprint of your body. When you say, all things are working together for my good, you are not pretending all things are pleasant. You are declaring that divine order is present. Even when unseen, every night, before you enter sleep, you have a sacred opportunity to realign. You have a window where the conscious mind relaxes and the subconscious becomes highly receptive. This is the time to plant affirmations rooted in truth. The facts of the day may have been difficult. You may have encountered stress, conflict, or uncertainty. But none of that needs to enter your deeper mind. You can stand at the door of consciousness and say, I choose truth. I release the appearance. I affirm divine order. In this act, you are no longer a victim of life. You become a conscious co-creator. Spiritual teachers throughout time have emphasized this principle. You do not overcome appearances by fighting them. You rise above them through alignment. You align through word, thought, feeling, and vision. But the word comes first. The spoken word is the vibration that begins the shift. It is the spark that ignites the fire of change. To affirm truth is to remind the universe what you are ready to receive. Not based on effort, but based on identity. Not based on need, but on divine inheritance. Truth always begins within. It is not something you force into existence. It is something you awaken to. When you say, I am guided, you are not hoping for guidance. You are declaring that divine wisdom already lives within you, and you are now choosing to hear it. When you say, I am free from all limitation, you are not ignoring the outer constraint. You are aligning with your true self, which is never bound by time, space, or human reasoning. This is the freedom of spiritual authority, the ability to see beyond what is and speak what truly is. The language of truth is gentle but firm. It does not waver based on evidence. It does not retreat when facts arise. It holds its ground, knowing that appearances are shifting shadows, and only what is rooted in divine law can endure. If you have a pattern in your life you wish to change, do not fight it. Speak a new truth over it. If there is scarcity, affirm abundance. If there is confusion, affirm clarity. If there is pain, affirm peace. Speak not of what you see, but of what you choose to see. Do not describe the condition, prescribe the new reality. To affirm truth is not to ignore responsibility. It is to remember where true power resides. You may still take action, still respond to the needs of the moment. But your inner dialogue must remain faithful to the higher vision. You may do what needs to be done, but you will do it with a different energy. With the energy of faith, not fear. Your affirmation becomes the guiding force behind every step. You no longer chase results, you speak from completion. The world may never confirm your truth until you declare it first. Wait for no outer sign. Speak now. Speak as one who knows that spiritual law is always active, always responsive, always working in your favor. Speak not to the world, but to your own consciousness, And as you do, the world must follow. Appearances may resist at first, but they cannot withstand the pressure of persistent truth. The outer must conform to the inner. This is not hope, it is law. Night is not the end, but the beginning of manifestation. As the world slows, as the sun bows to the horizon, and shadows stretch long across the earth, a sacred portal opens. This is not the time of closure, but of planting. Not the conclusion of your efforts, but the quiet moment where invisible hands begin their work. Just as the farmer does not dig up the seed at dusk to see if it has begun to grow, neither must you disturb the unseen forces that stir while you sleep. Night is not emptiness, it is preparation. It is not darkness, it is the womb of becoming. During the day, your thoughts are active. Your choices are outward, your energy flows into doing. But at night, the inner temple becomes accessible. It is in this stillness, this hush, that your soul and the subconscious mind begin their intimate dialogue. All the words you spoke, the thoughts you repeated, the emotions you entertained throughout the day settle into the soil of your being. Here they begin to take form. Sleep does not stop your creative power, it accelerates it by removing resistance. You are not meant to carry the whole weight of your becoming on your conscious mind alone. Night allows the deeper parts of you to breathe, to build, to reshape. What you impress upon your mind before sleep matters. It is the blueprint that your inner self will follow without question. The subconscious does not argue, and it does not delay. It acts in silence, faithfully constructing your dominant beliefs into experiences. To fear at night is to build fear into your future. To replay resentment is to plant more of the same. But to fall asleep in peace, with a clear vision of your highest good, is to send out a sacred command. This is what I accept. This is what I welcome. This is what I now prepare to receive. The law of creation does not clock out when you do. It does not rest or pause. It continues in the unseen, responding not to your outer efforts, but to your inner convictions. What you sow in consciousness before sleep grows roots in the silence. And those roots do not remain below the surface. They rise into form. Do not underestimate the power of a single thought repeated at night. Do not dismiss the value of one sincere affirmation spoken with faith before you drift into dreams. These are the seeds that the night watches over. Sleep is not a break from spiritual practice. It is part of it. It is the moment where the conscious mind hands the baton to the subconscious, saying, I have done my part, now you do yours. And the subconscious, loyal and tireless, takes over. It begins to organize your world according to your deepest impressions. It makes no distinction between truth and fantasy, between hope and fear, between what serves and what limits. It only knows what you have chosen to believe, and belief, more than effort, shapes experience. The reason night is so potent is because the noise of the world has ceased. The mind is softer. The critical voice is quiet. In this tenderness, your inner word takes root easily. It enters the heart without resistance. When you say, I am safe, I am whole, I am guided, those words go deep. They are not lost in the chaos of the day. They are absorbed like water into parched ground. Night is when the foundation is laid. What you see later as luck or synchronicity was born in these unseen hours. There is a reason why ancient wisdom speaks of dreams, of visions in the night, of answers given while sleeping. The divine does not need noise to speak. It does not require ceremony. It needs openness, stillness, willingness. When you empty yourself of fear before sleep and affirm truth, you make room for the voice of the infinite. You enter the temple not made by hands. And there, your higher self whispers ideas, directions, solutions, healing, all of which begin to show themselves when the time is ripe. Many think manifestation is about pushing, striving, constant action. But that is only one part of the cycle. The greater part, the fertile part, is in the allowing, in the resting, in the trusting. Night teaches you to release control and let divine intelligence work without interference. You cannot force a seed to grow faster by watching it, nor can you rush spiritual law by anxiety. What you can do is prepare the ground, plant the right idea, bless it, and sleep in peace. That peace is not passivity, It is power. It is the energy of surrender backed by spiritual understanding. Before sleep, speak not of what was lacking during the day. Speak not of what frightened you. These things carry no creative power. Instead, say, I welcome the new. I accept my good. I trust the process now unfolding. Even if outer conditions seem unchanged, even if no visible signs appear, you must speak from faith. Manifestation does not begin with proof. It begins with intention anchored in belief. Night is your opportunity to anchor. You are not drifting into unconsciousness. You are returning to the place where all things are made. Do not let the day close with worry on your tongue. Worry is a poor architect. It builds nothing worth living in. Let your last thoughts be strong, clear, and rooted in divine promise. I am not subject to the world I see. I live under the law of grace, not the law of fear. I release all tension now, and prepare to receive all that is mine by right of consciousness. Say these words not to please anyone, not to impress the mind, but to guide the spirit, to instruct the invisible. Your word is not small in the dark. It is powerful beyond measure. It is the vibration that will be carried into the depths while you sleep, weaving itself into events, encounters, and opportunities. Let the darkness be your sanctuary, not your worry chamber. Let night remind you that what is invisible is not absent. It is becoming. Just as the roots grow before the flower appears, so too does your good take shape before you see it. Honor the night as the sacred birthing ground that it is. Approach it with reverence, not wariness. Enter it as a priestess or a prophet, not as a victim of the day. Speak what you choose to create. Declare what must now be so. Know that the silence is listening, that the universe is attentive, that the laws are set and waiting only for your word to activate them. The world may appear to pause at night, but creation never does. Manifestation begins not with noise and motion, but with inner clarity, with spoken word, with deep knowing. Each night is not a pause in your power, it is the hidden half of it. The visible and the invisible are not enemies, they are companions. One sows, the other reaps. One declares, the other responds. Night is the sacred space in which all you have claimed in spirit begins to stir toward form. Speak wisely. Rest faithfully. Trust that what you set in motion with belief shall find its way into light.
What if the hardest workers are not the richest people? This is a truth that the world of hustle and grind doesn't want you to know. You were taught that your reward is tied directly to your struggle, that more effort, more sacrifice, more pushing will equal more return. So you push, you strive, you run on a treadmill of relentless doing, your soul convinced that the breakthrough you ache for is just one more exhausting step away. And yet, you see them, the ones I call the spiritual millionaires, those who seem to build empires on a quiet idea, who attract opportunities with a magnetic, almost bewildering ease. They seem to move through life with a calm certainty, and abundance follows them like a shadow. It is not luck. It is not a privilege you were denied. And it is certainly not because they are better or more deserving than you. They are simply operating from a different law, a first principle. They have mastered an invisible technology of the soul that turns resistance into reception. They have learned how to get out of their own way. This is the profound secret the remarkable Florence Scovel Shinn revealed, not as a complex theory, but as a practical foundational key to unlock the treasury of the universe. So what is this principle? What do they know about the nature of reality that allows them to receive, while so many others are stuck striving? Stay with me. Let go of everything you think you know about making money, because we are about to recalibrate your entire relationship with abundance from the inside out. The core of this teaching, the very heart of this spiritual technology, is a fusion of two immense powers you already possess. The first is the power of your word. The second is the power of your stillness. Florence Scovel Shinn stated it with a clarity that cuts through all confusion. She said, "There is nothing on earth that can resist an absolutely non-resistant person." Let that land in your spirit, not in your mind.
which will want to argue and debate it. But in your spirit, which recognizes truth, nothing on earth can resist an absolutely non-resistant person. Most of us, especially as women, have been taught the opposite. We've been taught to strive, to push, to prove, to earn our place, to fight for what we want. We have been conditioned to believe that our value and our rewards are directly proportional to the visible effort we expend. And so, we bring this energy of resistance into our relationship with money. We resist our current circumstances. We resist our debt. We resist the feeling of lack. We fight against it. We wrestle with it. We spend our precious life force in a battle against what is. But the universe does not operate on the principle of battle. It operates on the principle of resonance, of reflection. It is a perfect mirror. Whatever you resist, you are tethered to. Whatever you fight, you feed. Your resistance, your anxiety about money, your frantic need for it to be different right now sends a powerful signal out into the field of infinite possibility. And that signal says, I am in a state of lack. I am in a state of fear. I do not trust that I will be provided for. And the universe, in its infinite and impersonal love, simply says, as you wish, and reflects that state of lack and fear back to you in your circumstances. The first part of the secret, then, is the law of non-resistance. It is the conscious, deliberate choice to stop fighting reality, to stop wrestling with your present moment. But this is not passive resignation. It is not giving up. Oh no. That is where the second power comes in, the power of your word. As Florence taught, man's word is his wand, filled with magic and power. Your word is the rudder that steers the great ship of your life. While non-resistance calms the stormy seas of your own anxiety, your spoken word sets the divine destination. This is the common mistake. So many people try to use affirmations and declarations while their entire being is vibrating with resistance. They shout into the wind, I am wealthy, while their heart is screaming, but I'm terrified, I won't pay my rent. The universe doesn't hear the loud, desperate words. It feels the quiet, powerful vibration of the heart. The millionaire's first principle is the masterful combination of these two forces: to declare your destination with unshakable, quiet conviction, and then to enter a state of absolute non-resistance, a state of profound trust that the currents of life are now carrying you directly to it. It is the art of allowing, not forcing. It is the science of speaking and then letting go. This is the forgotten path to abundance. Not through struggle, but through surrender to a higher law. Let's make this real. Let's bring it down from the ethers and walk it through the hallways of your life. Picture a woman we'll call Amelia. Amelia is brilliant. She's talented, she's dedicated, and she wants a promotion at her creative agency more than anything. She deserves it. She's put in the hours, she's done the work, she's exceeded every metric. So she begins to practice what she thinks is manifestation. She writes on her mirror in lipstick, I am the new creative director. She visualizes herself in the corner office, feeling the plush carpet under her feet. She says her affirmations in the car on the way to work, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. But watch her energy. Observe her spirit. She walks into the office, and her eyes immediately dart around, searching for signs. Did her boss smile at her in a particular way? Was that email from the CEO a good omen or a bad one? She sees a coworker laughing with the head of the department, and a cold knot of dread forms in her stomach. Are they talking about someone else for the role? She checks her email obsessively. She replays conversations in her head, dissecting every word. She is a detective searching for clues, but the only crime is the one she's committing against her own peace. Her body is a landscape of resistance. Her shoulders are tight. Her jaw is clenched. Her breath is shallow. She is affirming abundance with her mouth, but she is screaming scarcity with her entire nervous system. She is holding the thought of the promotion in a chokehold. She is trying to force the universe's hand. Her energy is one of grasping, of needing, of deep, profound mistrust. She is resisting the present moment with every fiber of her being, and that resistance creates a static field, a vibrational barrier that the very thing she desires cannot penetrate. The universe wants to deliver, but it cannot find a clear signal. It cannot land on a frequency of frantic anxiety. Now imagine the shift. Amelia learns about the law of non-resistance. She learns that her work is not to make it happen, but to allow it to happen. So she changes her practice. In the morning, she stands before her mirror. She takes a deep, slow breath, and she speaks her word, not as a desperate plea, but as a calm, settled decree. The divine design of my life is now coming to pass. The perfect position for me, the one of my highest good, is now made manifest. I am divinely guided, and all doors now fly open. She speaks the words, and then she lets them go. She releases them, like letting a bird go from her hands. She gives the order to the infinite intelligence within her and around her, and she trusts that the order has been received. She walks into her office, and instead of scanning for signs, she focuses on her work. She finds joy in a project. She offers a kind word to a colleague. She doesn't ignore her desire for the promotion, but she is no longer chained to it. She has become non-resistant to the outcome. She has decided that her peace, her wholeness, is not contingent on that job title. Her peace is here, now. If she feels a wave of anxiety, she doesn't fight it. She acknowledges it. She breathes into it. And she gently reminds herself, I have cast my burden. I go free. She has flipped the energetic switch. From a place of needing, she has moved to a place of knowing. From forcing to allowing. From resistance to release. Her entire being now radiates a quiet confidence, a grounded trust. She has become a vacuum for her good because she has cleared out the static of her own fear. And then, one Tuesday afternoon, her boss calls her in. The conversation is easy. It's natural. It feels inevitable. The promotion was always hers. It was just waiting for her to get out of her own way. This is not magic. This is spiritual law. Think of it in your own life, the relationship you so deeply desire. Do you go on dates with an energy of auditioning a partner, your heart braced for disappointment? That is resistance. You are resisting your current state of being single, and in doing so, you are radiating the very vibration of lack of a partner. The universe can only match the signal you send. True magnetism is born when you become non-resistant to your own wholeness, right now. When you fall so deeply in love with your own life, your own company, that your radiance becomes an irresistible invitation, not a desperate plea. Think of debt. When you look at your bills with terror, with a knot in your stomach, you are resisting them. You are energizing the very condition of debt. Non-resistance isn't ignoring the bills. It is looking at them, acknowledging them, and then turning your full, powerful attention to the truth. Infinite intelligence is my unfailing supply. All my needs are met, and there is a divine surplus. You pay your bills with a blessing, knowing that money is simply energy, and as you release it with trust, you open the channel for more to flow in. The millionaire's secret is not a secret at all. It is an open law. It is the understanding that what you seek is not found in the fight. It is found in the faith that follows the word. Here's a truth that may feel startling at first, but it is the key to your absolute freedom. You are already a master of this law. You have been using it perfectly your entire life. Your current reality, in all its detail, is a flawless manifestation of your most dominant spoken and unspoken words, and your most persistent states of resistance. Take a gentle, honest look around you. Your relationships, your bank account, your health, your home. They are not random. They are not a punishment or a reward from an external God. They are a feedback system. They are the physical printout of your inner consciousness. If your life feels like a struggle, it is because you have been holding the belief and speaking the words of, "Life is a struggle." You have been resisting ease. If your finances feel constricted, it is because you have been holding the vibration of constriction. You have been speaking the language of not enough. You have been resisting the flood of abundance with dams of fear and doubt. This realization is not for shame. It is for power. It is the moment you stop being a victim of your circumstances and realize you have been the creator of them all along. It's the moment the puppet realizes it holds the strings. Imagine your subconscious mind, the great, powerful engine of your reality, is like a fertile garden, and your conscious thoughts and words are the seeds. For years, perhaps without realizing it, you have been planting seeds of worry, doubt, and fear. And the garden has faithfully produced a harvest of worrisome, doubtful, and fearful experiences. You have been a perfect gardener. Now, you simply choose to plant new seeds. This is not about fighting the weeds of the old patterns. You don't get rid of weeds by screaming at them. That just gives them more energy. You simply, calmly, stop watering them. You turn your attention, your focus, your life-giving water to the new seeds you wish to grow. Seeds of trust, seeds of abundance, seeds of ease. You are already an expert at this. You have unimpeachable proof that the law works. Your life is that proof. Now, you will simply use this power consciously. You will use it for your liberation. You will use it for your joy. You will use it for your divine inheritance of abundance. You are not broken. You are not flawed. You are a creator who is simply, finally, reading the instruction manual. And the first instruction is to recognize the power you have already been wielding. So how do we begin? How do we take this profound truth and weave it into the fabric of our days? It begins not with a grand gesture, but with a small, sacred shift in your daily rhythm. I want to offer you 3 simple, sacred steps, a daily practice to cultivate this millionaire's mindset, which is ultimately a mindset of divine trust. This practice is the embodiment of the great principle: speak the word, then enter non-resistance. Step 1. The sacred declaration. Each morning, before the world rushes in, find a moment of stillness. It doesn't have to be long, just a moment to connect with yourself. Take one deep, cleansing breath, and then speak your word. This is not a wish. It is not a hope. It is a declaration of what is already true in the realm of spirit, now making its way into form. Choose a statement that resonates with your soul. Speak it aloud if you can. Let the vibration of the words fill the room. Feel them in your chest, in your throat. This is your divine decree. Step 2. The act of release, which we call divine indifference. This is the millionaire's master stroke. This is the heart of non-resistance. After you have spoken your word, you must release it completely. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that you must develop a state of divine indifference. This is a calm, sacred detachment, a spiritual trust so deep it no longer needs constant proof. This does not mean you don't care or that you've become apathetic. It means you care so much that you refuse to contaminate the outcome with your fear and doubt. It is an active, powerful state of trust. Imagine you have a loyal, infinitely powerful, and resourceful servant. You give this servant a clear, precise order. Go and prepare my abundant future. Once you have given the order, what is your job? It is to trust the servant. You don't follow them around, wringing your hands, asking, "Are you sure you know the way? Are you doing it right? When will it be ready?" To do so would be an insult to the servant's power. It would sow confusion and delay the result. Your job, after giving the order, is to go about your day in peace, to be indifferent to the how and the when, because you have unshakable faith in the what. This is divine indifference. It is casting your burden, your desire, onto the creative power of the universe. And then you go free. You free yourself from the need to control, to manage, to worry. This is the deepest form of faith. Step 3. The active gratitude. Throughout your day, the final step is to water your newly planted seed. You do this through gratitude, not just for what you have, but for what is on its way. Feel the feeling of your answered prayer. If you have declared that your perfect home is on its way, feel the gratitude of walking through its front door. Feel the sun on your face through its windows. Generate the emotional signature of the desire fulfilled. This is not fantasy. This is vibrational alignment. Gratitude is the frequency of receiving. It tells the universe, "Thank you, I have received it." And the universe, which only knows the present moment, rushes to make that feeling of having received a physical fact. So your practice becomes a simple, sacred rhythm. First, you declare and speak your truth into being. Next, you release by practicing that divine indifference and trusting the process completely. And finally, you open yourself to receive by aligning your heart with the feeling of your prayer already answered through active gratitude. To help you begin, you might choose one of these truths or let them inspire your own. To call in overall abundance, you can declare, "My supply comes from God, and my great, unexpected good now comes to pass." To release the heavy burden of financial worry, you can affirm, "I am free from the burden of forcing outcomes. I cast my burden upon the Christ within, and I go free to receive." And to clear away old blocks and align with your highest purpose, you can speak this powerful decree. "Every plan my Father has not planned is now dissolved and dissipated. The divine design of my life now comes to pass." Practice this daily, with gentleness, with sincerity. This is not another chore on your to-do list. This is a sacred act of remembering who you are. As you begin this practice, as you start to consciously plant new seeds in the garden of your mind, be prepared. The journey inward often creates a temporary stir in the world outward. Do not be discouraged. When you first declare your divine abundance and trust, you may be met with what Florence called adverse appearances. An unexpected bill may arrive, a client may pull out, the car might break down. The rational mind, the ego, will immediately scream, "See, it's not working, this is foolish." But I want you to understand this from a higher perspective. This is a powerful sign of success. Imagine your life is like a river that has been flowing in one direction for years, the direction of lack or struggle. When you make a powerful new declaration, you are building a dam and commanding the river to flow in a new direction, towards abundance and ease. What happens at first? There is turbulence. The old current pushes against the new direction. Debris from the riverbed gets kicked up, old fears, old beliefs, old patterns. This is the clearing. The old energy must be flushed out to make way for the new. That unexpected bill is not a sign of failure. It is the debris of an old belief system being washed away. See it not as a setback, but as a confirmation that your word is powerful enough to stir the very foundations of your reality. Breathe through it. Stand firm in your new truth. When the adverse appearance shows up, do not give it your power. Do not resist it. Acknowledge it and calmly speak your truth again. This has no power over me. Only my word has power. My supply is infinite, and my great good is on its way. You are flipping a circuit in your mind. At first, there may be sparks. The lights might flicker. This is normal. You are rerouting decades of energetic programming. Be gentle with yourself. Be patient. You are planting seeds in new soil. For a time, it looks like nothing is happening. All the work is being done underground, in the dark, in the quiet. A root system of faith is being established. If you dig up the seed every day to check on it, you will kill it. Your job during this phase is to trust the process. to practice your divine indifference, to water the unseen seed with your gratitude and your faith. The outer world is the very last thing to change. The inner shift comes first. Celebrate the feeling of peace. Celebrate the moment you catch yourself from falling into an old worry pattern. Celebrate the feeling of trust. These are the true signs that your millions, whether of money, of joy, of love, or of peace, are on their inevitable way to you. The outer manifestation is simply the last step in a process that has already succeeded within. So, we come to the end of our time together, but to the beginning of your conscious creation. Here is the ultimate truth I want to leave you with today. You are not broken. You were never broken. You are not someone who needs to be fixed. You are a powerful, divine creator who is simply remembering the laws of your own being. This journey is not about adding something to you that you do not have. It is not about becoming someone you are not. It is an excavation. It is the gentle clearing away of the dust and debris of fear, doubt, and false teaching, so that the radiant, infinitely abundant soul you already are can finally shine through. The millionaire's first principle is not about a number in a bank account. It is about a state of consciousness. It is about a sovereign state of trust. The money, the opportunities, the success, they are just the natural, inevitable byproducts of this inner alignment. This is the millionaire's first principle. It begins not with striving, but with speaking, not with fighting, but with faith, not with chasing, but with choosing to become a clear channel for what is already yours. Today you stand at a crossroads, a point of choice. You can continue down the well-worn path of resistance, the path of striving, forcing, worrying, and controlling, the path that has given you the exact results you have now. Or you can choose a new way. You can choose the path of the awakened creator, the path of the sacred word and divine indifference, the path of allowance, of trust, of non-resistance, the path where you allow the universe in all its love and infinite intelligence to serve you, to support you, to surprise and delight you. The choice is yours. It is made not in a year or a month, but in this very moment, with your very next breath. My invitation to you is to anchor this choice, to make it real. Declare your new allegiance in the comments below so that your word may go out into the world. Leave a comment and declare, "I am a master of divine indifference." Let that be your first act of conscious declaration. And as you go forward from this space, I leave you with one final question to carry in your heart, a question that holds the key to your next great leap. What is the one thing you are finally ready to stop resisting today?
Man is ever surrounded by a sea of infinite substance. Supply is not something we beg for. It is something we command in alignment with divine law. When we attune ourselves with the higher vibration of truth, we realize that poverty, lack, and fear are only shadows, false appearances with no real power. The law of supply is as immutable as the law of gravity, and when understood rightly, it will move mountains and fill storehouses. There is no reality in limitation. All limitation is born of man's inverted thought. When he looks to the external instead of the internal, when he puts his faith in appearances and forgets the source. The outer world is but a reflection of the inner realm. If man would change his conditions, he must first correct his thoughts. He must speak the word that aligns with divine mind, not the word of complaint, fear, or desperation, but the word of authority, peace, and certainty. The substance of the universe responds to the voice of faith. Every word we speak is a decree, every thought is a mold. When we declare, "I now receive my divine supply in perfect ways," we are not asking, we are claiming. We are commanding from the throne of spiritual consciousness, where man stands in dominion. This is not arrogance, this is obedience to the law. For man was never meant to grovel. He was meant to reign, not over others, but over the false conditions of the world. You are not separate from the infinite source. You are a channel. The river of supply flows through you when you cease to block it with fear, doubt, and negative expectation. Most people say, I must earn a living. But divine law says, you must allow your living. Allowance comes through alignment, and alignment comes through faith, vision, and the spoken word of truth. There is always a way prepared, always a supply waiting for recognition. But to command it, you must be still, listen, and speak with authority. When you say, I am one with the abundance of God, you shift the energy field around you. The atoms obey, not. The invisible substance takes form, and what was once considered impossible becomes a natural unfolding. You do not need to see the how, you need only to declare the what, and leave the process to infinite intelligence. There is no delay in divine mind. Delay exists only in our own hesitation to believe. The law is instant, the supply is present, and the only work is to accept. You do not have to strive, you must simply know, and in knowing, you call it forth. Every time you affirm prosperity, you are building the invisible mold through which the visible must appear. Speak it, expect it, give thanks for it. The law is always working. The supply is already yours. Command it, and it shall be so. The spoken word is man's most powerful tool for shaping reality. Every word carries vibration, and every vibration becomes a mold into which substance flows. When man speaks with fear, he invites the very condition he dreads. But when he speaks with authority, rooted in spiritual understanding, he commands the invisible forces of supply, healing, harmony, and success to take form. Fearful speech opens the gates to limitation, while words spoken with faith and authority swing wide the doors of divine supply. Man must therefore watch his words with care, for his lips are the gatekeepers of his experience. In the silence of thought, fear begins. It may come as a whisper. What if I fail? Or, there's not enough. When man gives these thoughts voice, he makes them seeds. He sows them into the soil of the subconscious, and soon enough, the harvest appears in the outer world as delay, disappointment, lack, or struggle. But he who knows the law will not lend his voice to fear. He knows that to speak fear is to water the weeds, to affirm the false, to give life to illusion. He instead chooses the language of truth, declaring, I am one with the infinite supply. There is no failure in God. The difference between begging and commanding lies not in volume, but in vibration. The beggar pleads with desperation, the commander speaks calmly, clearly, with inner conviction. It is not by shouting that man manifests, but by aligning himself with divine mind. The soul must be in agreement with the word spoken. 1,000 fearful affirmations are weaker than a single word spoken in unwavering faith. When a person declares, I now receive my perfect supply, and believes it as fact, the universe rearranges itself to fulfill that word. Authority in speech does not mean arrogance. It means certainty born from spiritual knowledge. A child of the infinite does not plead for bread, he claims it. He does not tremble before appearances, he looks through them with the eyes of truth. The world may show lack, delays, or setbacks, but he speaks from a higher reality. My supply is at hand. All that is mine by divine right now appears. The spoken word is his wand. He points it at the invisible, and the visible obeys. Words spoken with authority must be free from contradiction. One cannot declare abundance in the morning, and complain of shortage in the afternoon. Such double-mindedness neutralizes the word, scattering its energy. The universe is exact. It responds to the vibration of belief, not the frequency of repetition. To speak with authority, the heart and mind must agree with the lips. Man must speak from the consciousness of already having received. He must declare the end from the beginning. It is done must be the tone behind every affirmation. Man's authority over his world lies in his understanding of spiritual law. He is not at the mercy of fate, chance, or outer events. These are but reflections of his own consciousness, shaped and reshaped by the words he utters daily. Speech is not casual, it is causal. Every idle word is a blueprint for future experience. The word of fear builds the house of lack, The word of power lays the foundation of supply. To speak in fear is to forget who you are. To speak in faith is to remember your divine inheritance. When man begins to discipline his tongue, miracles unfold. He watches his words as a gardener watches for weeds. He does not declare, "I can't afford it," but says instead, "It is not yet mine by divine right, but all that I need shall come in perfect timing." He speaks not of delays, but of preparation. He refuses to speak limitation, for he knows the law hears and obeys. His speech becomes sacred, an act of creation, a vehicle of manifestation. He speaks what he desires, not what he fears. He speaks what he expects, not what he dreads. In commanding supply, the tone is vital. One must speak as one who expects to be obeyed. As surely as a seed responds to the sun, the universe responds to confident speech. When man says, "I am divinely guided and provided for," with full conviction, he unlocks doors unseen. Resources move. People appear. Opportunities align. But if he says it with doubt in his voice, he merely echoes a wish, not a command. The law does not answer wishes, it answers knowing. There are those who speak affirmations yet see no result. They say, "I've said the words," but nothing has changed. Let such a one examine the spirit behind the speech. Were the words backed by belief or shadowed by fear? Were they spoken as declarations or as hollow incantations? Words alone do not shape destiny. It is the power behind them. The knowing, the vibration, the spiritual authority. The true speaker does not speak to see if it will work. He speaks because it already is. He does not seek proof in the outer world. He knows the word is already law. To speak with authority is to enter into partnership with the divine. You become the voice of the infinite in your world. You do not repeat words you found in a book. You speak the word that is revealed through spiritual understanding. When the soul is quiet and aligned, the right words rise to the tongue. You say only what uplifts, what affirms, what multiplies. You speak of health, of joy, of sufficiency, even when appearances suggest otherwise. You hold fast to your word, knowing that the invisible is working, and form must follow thought. Let the words you speak be few but rich in vibration. Speak as one who knows that your words are creative forces, not mere sounds. Bless what you have, declare what is yours, and give thanks for what is coming. When fear rises, silence it with the word of truth. Do not argue with fear, replace it. I fear nothing, for God is my instant and eternal supply. Speak it, believe it, and move as though it were already done. There is no power in fear unless man gives it voice. When fear is silent and faith speaks, the miracle is inevitable. Speech rooted in authority is not merely about material supply. It is the command of all that is rightfully yours: peace, harmony, right relationships, right work, right timing. The word of authority goes forth and clears the way. It levels mountains, dissolves resistance, and draws your good to you as surely as the tide responds to the moon. The power has always been in your mouth, waiting for you to speak, not as a beggar, but as a co-creator with the infinite. You are not waiting on supply. Supply is waiting on your word. The idea that supply must be earned, chased, or begged for is one of the most limiting beliefs man has inherited from the world of appearances. In truth, divine supply is always present, always available, always complete. It is not something outside of us, not something that must be struggled for or attained through effort and anxiety. It is a spiritual inheritance, waiting to be claimed by recognition and faith. Man is not a beggar in the kingdom of God. He is a rightful heir. Yet, until he knows this truth and acts upon it, he may continue to experience lack, not because it is real, but because it is believed. To beg is to affirm separation. It is to say, I do not have, and in doing so, one makes that lack more real in consciousness. Divine supply cannot be received from a state of need, fear, or desperation, because these are states that deny the presence of the very thing being asked for. The law is exact. It gives according to belief. When man begs, he is declaring himself unworthy, uncertain, and outside of the flow. But when he claims, he affirms his unity with the source, his alignment with truth, and his trust in divine timing and order. Supply is not a question of deserving. It is a question of alignment. The infinite is not withholding. The river does not resist the one who wishes to drink. It flows freely and constantly. But if a man turns his back to it, builds a wall against it, or doubts its existence, he will experience dryness. He will feel alone and unsupported, not because the supply has failed, but because his consciousness has turned away from it. When he finally declares, "All that is mine by divine right now comes to me," and truly believes it, the walls begin to dissolve, and the flow resumes. Claiming is not a loud declaration. It is not the force of the voice, but the certainty of the spirit behind it. To claim is to accept. It is to recognize something as already done, already given, already present in the invisible. It is the act of spiritual possession before material possession. This is the faith that moves mountains. The quiet, unwavering knowing that what is needed is already provided, and the form will appear in perfect timing. It is not man's job to outline the form, only to claim the substance. Many are stuck in the pattern of asking again and again for the same thing, not realizing that by continuing to ask, they affirm they have not received. This is not the way of divine law. When the order is placed, it is fulfilled. When the word is spoken, it sets creation into motion. Man must now act and feel as if it is done. He must prepare for the manifestation. He must give thanks as though the good were already in hand. This is the act of claiming, an internal shift that acknowledges the unseen as more real than the seen. There is no spiritual dignity in begging. The soul shrinks when it begs, but expands when it claims. Claiming raises the vibration, expands the consciousness, and draws the desired into form. When a man says, "I am now receiving my perfect supply," and says it not with hope or pleading, but with trust and peace, he is speaking the creative word. And the word never returns void. There may be no evidence in the moment, but the claim plants the seed. The law begins its silent work, arranging, directing, preparing the channels through which the supply will appear. Man often believes he must work harder, try more, push, and force in order to receive. But supply is not earned by sweat. It is received through consciousness. Right action follows right thought. When the mind is aligned, the outer world aligns too. Work becomes effortless, doors open, people appear. And opportunities come seemingly by coincidence. But it is not coincidence. It is the result of claiming, of placing the demand on the law through right knowing and right speaking. To claim is also to eliminate all contradictory statements. One cannot claim supply, and then say, "I'm broke," or "Nothing ever works out for me." Such words are unclaimed seeds. They cancel the order. The law listens not only to affirmations but to all words spoken with feeling. Casual complaining is a powerful form of miscreation. If one truly wants to experience abundance, every word must be guarded. Every sentence must be chosen with care. Language becomes sacred when man understands its creative power. True claiming also includes gratitude. Gratitude is the vibration that confirms receipt. It is the spiritual signature that says, "It is done." When man gives thanks before the form appears, he anchors the claim more deeply into the subconscious and aligns himself with the rhythm of divine fulfillment. Gratitude dissolves fear, impatience, and doubt. It shifts the focus from what is missing to what is already in motion. It affirms the unseen reality and accelerates the appearance of supply in tangible form. The practice of claiming does not mean denial of current conditions. It means seeing beyond them. The man of spiritual vision acknowledges facts but holds to truth. He may say, "Yes, this bill is due, but I claim divine supply as already paid." He speaks not from the facts but from faith. He sees lack but does not believe in it. He walks through delay, but knows there is no delay in divine mind. He continues to claim his good, no matter the appearances, because he understands that appearances are always the last to change. Supply does not arrive to those who wait passively. It arrives to those who speak with certainty, who prepare in faith, and who act in alignment. Action without claiming is frantic. Claiming without action is incomplete, but claiming first sets the tone, and right action follows naturally. The man who claims his abundance will walk differently. He will make decisions from a place of confidence, not fear. He will treat himself with greater respect, expect good from others, and radiate a quiet authority that attracts opportunities. It is not necessary to understand the details of how the supply will come. The law handles that. The how is the business of the infinite. The what is man's responsibility. He must know what he desires, believe that it is already his, and claim it through word and attitude. The law will then set into motion the right sequence of events. The key is to claim without tension, without impatience, without fear. Let the claim be calm, grounded, and sure. Many people do not realize that they have already been claiming something their entire lives. Lack, delay, frustration. Through their thoughts, their complaints, their beliefs. The universe has been faithfully responding. But now, man may turn the tide by claiming consciously, deliberately, and consistently. He may say, I no longer accept appearances as truth. I now claim divine supply in full measure. And in doing so, he reverses the current. The tide turns, not. And the substance of the universe begins to shape itself according to this new command. Faith is the golden key that unlocks the gates of unseen abundance. It is the invisible bridge between man and his divine supply, the connecting cord between human consciousness and infinite intelligence. Faith is not hoping, not wishing, not trying to believe. Faith is knowing. It is the deep, quiet certainty that what is not yet seen is already present in the realm of spirit and is moving swiftly into form. Faith operates beyond appearances. It does not reason with facts, it speaks directly to truth. It ignores the external and anchors itself in the eternal. When man has faith, he aligns his mind with the divine blueprint. He tunes his thoughts to the frequency of abundance, harmony, and provision. Infinite substance surrounds him at every moment, waiting to be formed, shaped, and directed by his consciousness. Faith is the magnet that draws this substance into visible form. Without faith, man remains entangled in appearances, bound by doubt, confined by what the eyes can see and the ears can hear. But with faith, he rises into spiritual dominion, where all things are possible and supply flows freely. Faith is not blind, it is visionary. It sees what others cannot see. It perceives the perfect idea behind every imperfect condition. It does not pretend the problem does not exist. It simply knows that the solution exists at a higher level of awareness. Faith lifts man above the level of worry and shows him the finished picture. It whispers, "This is already done. This has already been provided. Your part is to receive it." As man holds this inner image with conviction, he gives substance to the unseen. He becomes the sculptor of reality, carving the invisible into form through unwavering belief. There is no limit to the supply of the universe, only the limit man places through doubt. When he doubts, he contracts. His energy tightens, his vision narrows, and the channels of supply begin to close. But when he believes, he expands. He opens himself to receive. He creates space for the good to pour in. Infinite substance responds to faith as surely as an echo responds to sound. It rushes to fill the mold created by man's inner conviction. Where faith goes, substance flows. Where belief stands firm, form begins to appear. Faith must be absolute. A half belief yields half results. The universe does not respond to indecision. One must believe fully, wholly, without hesitation. This means silencing the voice of fear, dismissing the chatter of delay, and replacing every mental image of lack with the vision of abundance. Faith is not passive. It is dynamic, active, powerful. It speaks, it declares, it commands. It says, "I now accept my divine supply in perfect ways," and says it with such certainty that the outer world begins to conform. Man cannot serve two masters. He cannot believe in divine abundance and also give power to fear. To hold faith is to release fear. To believe in substance is to stop believing in limitation. One cannot look in both directions at once. When faith takes root, fear dissolves. Fear cannot live where faith is firmly established. They are of opposite vibrations. Faith builds, fear destroys. Faith expands, fear restricts. Faith connects, fear isolates. The more man feeds faith through thought, word, and feeling, the more he steps into the rhythm of supply. Faith brings peace, and peace is the atmosphere in which supply multiplies. An anxious mind blocks flow. A restless heart delays manifestation. But a faithful soul is calm, composed, and receptive. It does not rush the process. It does not question the timing. It does not beg or plead. It trusts, and in that trust, the universe moves swiftly. Doors open. The right people appear. Unexpected channels unfold. Resources that seemed impossible come easily, because faith has cleared the path and removed the barriers of doubt. Every day presents a choice, to believe in appearances or to believe in the unseen reality. Appearances may show lack, but faith says, this is temporary. Appearances may show delay, but faith says, it is unfolding perfectly. Appearances may show failure, but faith says, something greater is being prepared. Faith does not react, it responds. It does not panic, it proclaims. It does not surrender to circumstances, it rises above them and calls forth the truth. When man lives in faith, he becomes immune to the ups and downs of the world. He becomes grounded in the eternal flow of supply. Faith works through repetition and feeling. It must be practiced daily, hourly, moment by moment. Each thought of doubt must be replaced with a word of truth. Each fearful image must be cast out and a new image installed. Man must train his mind to remain steadfast, to hold the vision even when nothing seems to support it. This is the work of faith, not to strive, but to stand firm, not to control, but to trust, not to force, but to flow. As man remains in this spiritual posture, he aligns with infinite substance, and his good begins to manifest in unmistakable ways. Faith also requires obedience. When divine guidance comes, it must be followed. Faith is not only believing in the outcome, but also taking the steps revealed along the way. The path may not always make sense, but faith does not require logic. It requires surrender. The soul that is aligned through faith listens carefully, moves when prompted, and acts without fear. These small acts of obedience open the floodgates. They become the bridges between vision and fulfillment. Faith listens, trusts, and moves. And in that movement, supply flows in perfect timing. Faith does not rely on effort, it relies on energy. The right vibration attracts the right form. When man holds a vibration of certainty, love, and gratitude, he becomes a magnetic center. His very being draws to him the things that match his inner state. He does not chase success, it comes to him. He does not struggle for supply, it flows to him. He becomes a spiritual magnet, effortlessly aligned with the abundance of the universe. And all of this is born of faith, a quiet, unshakable knowing that everything needed is already provided in the invisible, and is now taking shape in the visible. Faith does not ask if, but declares when. It speaks in the language of now. It does not push supply into the future, it pulls it into the present through affirmation and belief. My supply is here, it says. My needs are met. My path is clear. These are not mere words. They are spiritual decrees, backed by the full authority of divine mind. Faith never waits for signs, it creates the signs. It does not require proof, it becomes the proof. It does not consult the outer world. It creates a new world through inner conviction. The more man lives in faith, the more miracles become natural. He ceases to be surprised by answered prayers, divine timing, or perfect solutions. He expects them. He sees them as the natural result of being in alignment with infinite substance. Faith becomes his home, his atmosphere, his mode of living. It is the very air he breathes, the light he walks in, the power he speaks with. And from that inner certainty, his life unfolds as a continual expression of divine supply. Man in his limited vision often believes he must provide everything for himself, He takes on the burden of being the source rather than realizing he is merely the channel through which the infinite flows. This false sense of personal responsibility creates tension, fear, and struggle. But the truth is simple and liberating. Man is not the source of his supply, of his ideas, or of his success. He is the conduit. The source is infinite intelligence, the limitless substance of spirit, ever present and ever ready to express itself through him. When man identifies himself as the source, he limits his capacity. He draws from his own resources, his own intellect, his own strength, and sooner or later he feels depleted, inadequate, overwhelmed. But when he shifts his consciousness and says, I am the channel for divine supply, he opens himself to the abundance of the universe. He is no longer depending upon the small vessel of personal effort, but upon the vast ocean of spiritual provision. The channel does not worry how the river will flow. It remains clear and aligned, allowing the water to move freely and powerfully through it. To be a channel is to remain open, receptive, and available. It is to let go of the need to control, and instead to become a willing vessel. It requires trust, not in oneself alone, but in the higher power that operates through all things. The artist does not generate beauty from his personality, he allows beauty to express through him. The healer does not create energy, he permits divine energy to move through his hands. The writer, the teacher, the leader, each one, when truly inspired, is not drawing from their own finite self, but from the infinite source within. Man must release the pride that says, it all depends on me, and instead embrace the humility that declares, I am guided, supported, and supplied by Spirit. This is not weakness, but strength. The kind of strength that comes from alignment, from knowing one's rightful place in the divine flow. A wire does not light the bulb, it simply carries the current. The moment the wire believes it must generate the power itself, it ceases to function. In the same way, when man tries to carry the burden of provision alone, he short-circuits the flow of supply. As a channel, man must remain clear. He must release resentment, fear, doubt, and negative thought patterns, for these are the blocks that interrupt the flow. He must keep his thoughts in harmony with the truth of abundance. He must stay spiritually attuned, in a state of expectancy, gratitude, and peace. When he is inwardly clear, outward channels appear effortlessly. Supply comes through unexpected avenues. Solutions reveal themselves without strain. The divine current flows unimpeded, and he becomes the receiver, the transmitter, the expression of divine wealth and wisdom. Being a channel means letting go of the how. The how belongs to the infinite. Man's role is to be available, aligned, and willing. He does not outline the road of supply or dictate the method of delivery. He simply holds the consciousness of trust and availability. He says, I am ready. Use me. Flow through me. And in that openness, divine ideas arrive, right actions become obvious, and provision manifests with perfect timing. The channel is never anxious because it knows the source is constant, abundant, and wise. To live as a channel is to understand that nothing is ever truly lost. If one door closes, another will open. If one stream dries up, another begins to flow. The source is infinite. The forms may change, but the supply remains. When man clings to a single form, he forgets his role as a channel and begins to fear loss. But when he stays rooted in the truth that the source is within and unlimited, he welcomes change. He understands that the supply flows through various channels, but is never dependent on any one of them. This consciousness eliminates competition. The channel does not need to compete, grasp, or struggle. It simply remains open. It knows that what is divinely its own cannot be taken away, and what is not aligned will not remain. This brings ease into all endeavors. Business becomes an expression of service, not a fight for survival. Creativity becomes joyful play, not pressure. Relationships become flows of love, not battles for control. The channel allows all things to pass through, holding nothing in fear, clinging to nothing in desperation, but allowing spirit to move in, through, and as the experience. Man becomes magnetic when he lives as a channel. He attracts effortlessly. Not because he is trying to draw things in, but because he is radiating the essence of spirit. Supply flows to where it can flow through. The open, generous, giving soul is never without. The one who trusts, listens, and obeys the divine prompts finds himself always in the right place at the right time. He does not push, for he knows that spiritual timing is precise. He does not chase, for he understands that his good is already seeking him as he remains aligned. When problems arise, the channel turns inward. It does not rush to fix or force an outcome. It becomes still and asks, where am I blocked? Where am I resisting? Where have I forgotten my source? In that moment of introspection, clarity comes. The block may be a thought of fear, a judgment, or a past hurt. As these are released, the flow resumes. The supply was never gone. It was simply paused by resistance. Man, once again aligned, becomes the passageway for divine action. The channel does not require evidence before it believes. It knows that what is true in spirit must eventually take form. It holds the vision, speaks the word, acts in faith, and lets the results unfold. It is not passive, but it is not driven. It acts with peace, speaks with conviction, and moves with confidence. The channel understands that it is not about doing more, but about being in the right vibration. The doing flows from the being. The action follows the inspiration. The manifestation arises from the consciousness of readiness. Even in the face of obstacles, the channel does not panic. It remembers who it is. It remembers that it is not cut off. It affirms that the flow of life, love, and supply is uninterrupted by appearances. It does not beg for miracles. It becomes the space where miracles occur. It does not demand outcomes. It aligns with divine law and trusts the unfolding. The current is always there. Man's only task is to remain clear, open, and willing to let the supply pour through him and into his world as form, fulfillment, and divine expression. There is no delay in divine mind. Infinite intelligence does not withhold, does not falter, does not hesitate in fulfilling the spiritual demands of man. The delay that so many experience is not a product of the law, but of man's consciousness. The moment a word is spoken in faith, the law moves to fulfill it. It is man's doubt, his wavering belief, his inner contradiction that creates the illusion of delay. The supply is already present, the good is already prepared, and the answer is already complete in the invisible. But it cannot flow into form until man becomes ready to receive, until he becomes certain in his claim and unwavering in his belief. Doubt is a spiritual fog. It clouds the channel, obstructs the current, and interferes with the perfect rhythm of manifestation. It questions, hesitates, and analyzes from the standpoint of fear. It whispers, "What if it doesn't work?" And in that whisper, it plants a seed of confusion. The law responds not only to man's words, but to the vibration behind them. If the words are right, but the feeling is filled with uncertainty, the manifestation is stalled. The law waits, not because it is slow, but because it must respond to belief. Faith opens the gates, but doubt builds invisible barriers that keep the good at bay. The process of manifestation is immediate in spirit, but its appearance in the physical world depends on man's mental atmosphere. When man speaks his word with full conviction and holds it without contradiction, the invisible begins its perfect work. Events rearrange, people are guided, and resources move. But the moment man begins to waver, to question, to speak contrary words, he interrupts the process. The law is precise. It cannot be fooled. It cannot be hurried, and it cannot be deceived by empty repetition. It hears the dominant vibration, the deepest belief, and it responds accordingly. Many speak affirmations and yet receive no result, because they do so from a place of disbelief. They repeat the words like formulas, hoping to override their doubt with effort. But the law does not reward effort. It responds to knowing. It is not the quantity of affirmation, but the quality of consciousness that brings results. One word spoken in absolute faith is more powerful than 1,000 spoken in fear. It is not the lips that move the law, but the heart. The inner conviction must match the outer word. When man speaks truth and feels it, the delay vanishes, and the good appears. Man often mistakes divine order for delay. He asks for something and expects it to arrive in the form he imagined, at the time he outlined, through the channel he selected. When it does not appear as expected, he becomes impatient, discouraged, and doubtful. Yet, unknown to him, the law is working, preparing a better way, a higher form, or a more perfect timing. If he holds his faith steady, the manifestation appears, often greater than what was asked for. But if he allows doubt to enter, he blocks the process and declares the outcome void. The delay was not divine. It was man-made. Every doubt is a detour. When man doubts, he sends mixed signals into the creative field. He says, "I receive," then thinks, "But what if it doesn't come?" He affirms abundance but worries over bills. He declares perfect timing but panics when things seem slow. These contradictory vibrations cancel each other out. The law does not punish. It simply reflects. Doubt is not moral failure, it is a misalignment. And just as misalignment in a radio causes static, misalignment in thought causes delay in manifestation. The static clears when man retunes his consciousness to the station of faith. To eliminate delay, man must become single-minded. He must make his word law unto himself. He must say, "This is mine by divine right," and refuse to speak otherwise. He must not seek signs to believe but believe until the signs appear. He must become blind to appearances and deaf to the voices of fear. Doubt often wears a mask of reason. It says, "Be realistic," or "Be cautious," or "Prepare for the worst." But these are the voices of limitation dressed as wisdom. True wisdom sees beyond facts and speaks from truth. It knows that spirit is not limited by logic, and that miracles are natural outcomes of spiritual law. When man sees delay in his life, he must not blame outer conditions. He must look within and ask, "Where have I doubted? Where have I spoken against my good? Where have I allowed fear to rewrite my expectation?" This is not for condemnation but for correction. The moment he sees the error, he can reverse it. He can speak a new word, affirm a higher truth, and restore the flow. The law does not hold grudges. It does not remember past missteps. It responds to the present belief. The shift can be immediate, and the delay can dissolve the moment certainty is restored. Doubt creates emotional turbulence. It stirs anxiety, fear, restlessness, and confusion. These emotions send out vibrations of scarcity, uncertainty, and resistance. But when man centers himself in faith, peace returns. Peace is the evidence of alignment. It is the atmosphere in which supply naturally unfolds. The man of faith walks in calm expectation. He knows that the law is working, even if he cannot yet see it. He does not check the soil every hour to see if the seed has sprouted. He waters it with gratitude, warms it with belief, and trusts the harvest to appear in due season. To overcome doubt, man must surround himself with truth. He must immerse himself in the Word, the principles, the teachings that remind him of who he truly is and what the law truly is. He must guard his mind from the world's narrative of fear and limitation. The world operates in doubt, and its systems are built on mistrust. But the spiritual man lives by inner conviction. He separates from the noise and listens to the still, small voice that says, "All is well. All is provided. All is unfolding perfectly. There is no spiritual traffic jam. There is no cosmic delay. Spirit does not forget or postpone. The moment the word is spoken in faith, the answer is prepared." Man's work is not to force the outcome, but to maintain the atmosphere. Delay is often the result of spiritual amnesia. For a moment, man forgets the law, forgets his authority, forgets his source. In that forgetting, doubt enters. But the remembrance is always one thought away. One moment of clarity, one affirmation of truth, one return to the consciousness of certainty. And the way is made clear. The law is as quick as your faith. It is as immediate as your belief allows. If the answer seems delayed, it is not in the realm of spirit, it is in the realm of thought. Clear the thought, and the way opens. Remove the doubt, and the good rushes in. Man need not beg, plead, or wait in suffering. He need only remember, realign, and reaffirm his good. The speed of manifestation matches the strength of belief. The channel is always open, and the supply is always flowing. Doubt is the only curtain that draws across the window. Faith lifts the curtain, and the light pours in.